My past has been a mystery, and I didn't want to know, so I didn't ask. I have always had a happy life with my mom and stepdad. But things changed after they got divorced. I still miss him. I don't remember how it all started, why I first ran, or what kept me going. But I remembered the wind blowing in my face, the adrenaline rushing through my veins, and everything just got better. Something in me has awakened. I am not sure whether I control it or it controls me, but it feels right.
For years, we brought justice to our city. We made mistakes, fought amongst ourselves. Many of us fell along the way.
I almost admire your perseverance, Tyson. You and I could have been a great team.
You'll never put your hands on my research. This ends today. You need to fight back! Sonya is controlling you!
No, old friend. She freed me.
Okay guys, we did it. Now it's time to break into the Telosium generator room.
Telosium, huh? The powerful and unstable energy we need.
I must say, seems like a trap.
Not just seems. Definitely is.
And we're going in like this?
Of course. We need energy.
And I'm not in the mood to recharge in an outlet.
Well done. Was easier than we thought.
Every time you open your mouth, something bad happens.
Ouch. That hurt. And remember, this mouth is ours. Do you know who the cowboy is?
Not a clue.
In any case, we agree that he deserves our best treatment, right?
My friend, we'll have to agree. You gave us the best gift of all!
The scent of uncertainty in the air. I love it! Let's go! We relish making decisions. We delight in making our opinions count! And now that I'm in control, this game is in our hands. So, it's your call.
From the rooftops, from the ceilings, or a frontline rushing. Follow close on, lean beneath the wind, take cover. Make no mistake, I'm rising to the top, cause I'm leading my way. In line for or the edge of a blade, I'm calling all the shots, la da da. In the world.
My past has been a mystery, and I didn't want to know, so I didn't ask. I have always had a happy life with my mom and stepdad. But things changed after they got divorced. I still miss him. I don't remember how it all started, why I first ran, or what kept me going. But I remembered the wind blowing in my face, the adrenaline rushing through my veins, and everything just got better. Something in me has awakened. I am not sure whether I control it or it controls me, but it feels right.
For years, we brought justice to our city. We made mistakes, fought amongst ourselves. Many of us fell along the way.
I almost admire your perseverance, Tyson. You and I could have been a great team.
You'll never put your hands on my research. This ends today. You need to fight back! Sonya is controlling you!
No, old friend. She freed me.
Okay guys, we did it. Now it's time to break into the Telosium generator room.
Telosium, huh? The powerful and unstable energy we need.
I must say, seems like a trap.
Not just seems. Definitely is.
And we're going in like this?
Of course. We need energy.
And I'm not in the mood to recharge in an outlet.
Well done. Was easier than we thought.
Every time you open your mouth, something bad happens.
Ouch. That hurt. Remember, this mouth is ours. Do you know who the cowboy is?
Not a clue.
In any case, we agree that he deserves our best treatment, right?
My friend, we'll have to agree. You gave us the best gift of all!
The scent of uncertainty in the air. I love it! Let's go! We relish making decisions. We delight in making our opinions count! And now that I'm in control, this game is in our hands. So, it's your call.
From the rooftops, from the ceilings, or a frontline rushing. Follow close, I'm aiming lethal. Better take cover. Make no mistake, I'm rising to the top, cause I'm moving my way. I'm lining for or the edge of a blade. I'm calling all the shots, la da da. In the world is falling to the ground. I'll be ready for the fire. Make it wild, let it free. I'll be ready for the march of victory. Make it wild, let it free. Never get it, 'cause I'll rewrite history. I'll be ready for the fire. Make it wild, let it free. I'll be ready for the march of victory. I'll be ready for the fire. Make it wild, let it free. Never get me, 'cause I'll rewrite history. I'll be ready for the
My past has been a mystery, and I didn't want to know, so I didn't ask. I have always had a happy life with my mom and stepdad. But things changed after they got divorced. I still miss him. I don't remember how it all started, why I first ran, or what kept me going. But I remembered the wind blowing in my face, the adrenaline rushing through my veins, and everything just got better. Something in me has awakened. I am not sure whether I control it or it controls me. But it feels...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is a Free Fire USA Championship 2025. This is the day of redemption and relegation, the final day for the knockout stage, where teams from the bottom six needs to double the hustle, double the time that they get all those points to grab that slot for the grand finals. On the desk, I am Neptune the Gentleman Garcia, joined my amazing brother, Mustachio AJ.
I am super excited, as I am always, but a little bit more excited today, Neptune, because we finally get to see some fire under some backsides, right? Because they are going to hustle today. And you know, you brought up this point fantastically yesterday. The points between the teams who are in the bottom six, as well as in the 11th, 12th spot, it's not too far at all. Game after game, we'll definitely see some shifts there in the competition on the overall leaderboard to see exactly who makes it to the grand finals. We've only got 6 matches overall, but each team only plays 4 games. So essentially, it's just 4 opportunities here before you book your ticket to the grand finals, where there's a real cold, hard cash waiting for the squads.
Exactly. You mentioned hard cash, and I got goosebumps overall because of the $30,000 for the prize pool, and the champion will be grabbing a third of that. That's $10,000. All those zeros would mean a lot for the team, especially as we have started this on the 8th anniversary of Free Fire that FFUSC has been introduced back. So let's see on how things is going to end up right now, because we've scratched off the group stage already on the board. We are on the last day for the knockout stage before we head into the grand finals on the 12th of July.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, 12th of July, you know, just a couple of days after that, we've got the Esports World Cup coming up, and Free Fire is part of that as well, right? I would love to see North America be a part of a stage like that one day. We're just ramping things up. We are starting things off again. So these teams have something very, very big to look forward to in the future. They just have to prove themselves out there, because when that opportunity comes along, they need to be able to not just be able to grab it, but to smash it as well. We've got 3 groups in here, each group with 6 teams. Not everybody is at the top tier performance thus far. We have got a few teams who are down at the bottom. Very surprisingly, you know, the bottom 6 has got teams like Motion Gang, Don Chui, 5 Stars. These teams were performing during the first 2 weeks.
Exactly. I mean, 5 Stars and Motion Gang, the top 2 from their groups, especially in day 1 of the group stage. And it's just unfortunate that we're seeing them at the bottom. Don Chui was I would say mid-tier from the group stage. And for some of the teams like Dark Hunters as well as Phantom, like they managed to claw themselves into the top 18, but they're still failing to do as much. The same goes for Real G.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's exactly what's going to happen in a competition like this, right? You stack it up, you break it down, and you're going to see some Titans, you're going to see some bottom feeders, but it doesn't mean that bottom feeders are incapable of picking up points. At the end of the day, this is a battle royale. At the end of the day, we've got our RNG in here. You know, it all depends on your drop spots, whether or not somebody decides to hot drop you, what kind of weapons you find as soon as you hit the ground running. And if you are lucky in that very moment, perhaps you might just have the edge over your opponents. But of course, the safer plays are the kind of plays that I love out there just to be able to guarantee themselves a few of those placement points. Yesterday, RNKTZ, out of nowhere, hit 3 booyahs out of the 4 games that they played, and I think that was phenomenal, right? But they were not the only top performers, but those are not the people we're concerned about, because whether you get the first spot or the 12th spot, it doesn't matter. You go to the finals, there's no difference in terms of the money you pull away. Where we want to look is below that red line. Teams like 5 Stars, Don Chui, Motion Gang, Dark Hunters, Phantom, Rail G, they are the hustlers that we want to keep our eyes on today. And of course, if they end up hustling teams like Tonio, Abandonados, yeah, they got to worry a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, for Tonio and Abandonados, this is one thing that surprised me because we've seen them from yesterday. The first match, the first map, they didn't play. But the moment that they play, they put up the scores and place themselves on 11-12. Compared to the other 6 teams, it is tough for them because despite of being present, it feels like they're still absent at that point. Absent, not quite sure if in presence or in gunfight, engagement, or just in present, like absent in mind. So that's one thing that needs work on definitely this time around.
Yeah, I mean, they were just living up to their name, man. Abandonados abandoning the first game just to make a little bit of a comeback, just to have a little bit of extra hype on their side. I love it, but I would not push the boundaries too much because, you know, you're not the only hustler in the competition. And if you snooze, you lose. If you sleep on your competition, they're just going to overtake you, leave you in the dust. And by the dust, I mean the bottom 6. And these are the knockout rules. 12 games in total. They will play over 2 days. Yesterday, we completed some matches already. Today, we complete the rest of them to find the top 12 teams who will advance to the grand finals where Champion Rush condition has been activated. We all know the jazz about Champion Rush, but we will not go into the fine details today. But basically, you need to hit a certain point, all right, before you can call yourselves champion. But in order to be crowned champion, you need to get the booyah. Once you reach the Champion Rush condition, if you cannot get that booyah, you will not be crowned champion. So the team with the most number of points at the end of the day possibly could walk away with that second spot or third. I don't know, but it's probably not going to be the first. So teams like RNKTZ, who are so proficient at picking up these booyahs, Neptune, they are most definitely on the winning side tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And let's not take away T-Rex as well. T-Rex Gaming, who managed to smash 4 booyahs from their group stage. I mean, that's the hype. That is the reason why we hype all those teams, because they can trigger those Champion Rush condition as well as hit the booyah to be the champion. So that's what we're looking for the teams. Thus, AJ did mention about survivability. And, well, just to point it out, despite of we are looking into the same set of groups, we are jumping into a different set of maps, or different order of maps, I would say. So despite of the homework, it doesn't put in so much because hot drops might still be happening, especially from yesterday. They only played 4 out of 6 maps, so the rotation will give them that element of surprise. But going back into the standings as well, from the 9th to the 18th, it's only 23 points from the 18 to be able to level up with the 9th place, which is on style. So one good game, and similarly, we've seen around 20 plus once you get that booyah can like catapult you on that spot.
Yeah, so how do you hit these 18 points? Very simple. You hit the booyah that already gives you 12 points out of placements and just 6 eliminations, right? Sounds easy, but of course you gotta get 18 more than the competition that you're playing against. Not impossible, but obviously we have not seen a lot of consistency from the teams in the bottom 6 at the moment. So point system remains the same as always. 12 points for the booyah, 9 points for that second place. You minus 1 point for each consecutive placement that you pick up there. 11th and 12th, though, gets you no points whatsoever. 1 point per elimination. And this is exactly how some of these teams have been able to stack so many points on their side. Teams like RNKTZ, CDG, Rosario Central, these are heavy hitters who really depend on those elimination points now.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of depend, this is what some of the viewers has been depending on every time we go in broadcast. It's just the rules that we have that you need to take note of. And, well, other than the first 100 players that can redeem those items, only 1 item per player, as well as only available within the broadcast, you need to go in to reward that reward@ff.garena.com. So make sure that you have that ready, prepared. When you take the screenshot, enter those codes, and then you will get your exclusive prize.
Absolutely. So please be a part of the 100. You may think that, wait a minute, there's about 100 people here watching this broadcast. Usually there's way more than that. But not many people are chatting. So maybe I've got a good chance to grab these, giveaways for myself if I take my own sweet time. You are wrong, my friend, because we don't just have this English broadcast. We've got the Spanish broadcast running along as well. And yeah, those boys will grab it really, really quick if you are not fast enough. So you got to be on standby. You got to take that screenshot and you got to hop on over immediately to that website to claim your item. And by the way, these items are only available for free on this broadcast. When you claim it, you cannot purchase them within the game. So yeah, you get to flex these skins on your team members out there. But of course, team lineup, Group A versus B for this first matchup, Neptune. I'm really curious to see exactly who's going to be able to hit the first booyah to be able to claim a little bit of extra advantage in terms of adrenaline out there.
Yeah, definitely. And eyes on 5 stars, Don Chui, Motion Gang, Dark Hunters, Phantom, as well as Real G. The teams at the bottom. But again, we are going to scratch off Don Chui and Motion Gang right now because they're part of Group C. They won't be playing. So hopefully by the time that they play, they've studied their opponent from Group A and B.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, sitting down at the very, very bottom of these 18 teams is the Real G. Not looking so much like a G at this point of time, but I'm hoping they will be able to step it up out there. One of the best ways to do this is to hit that high-tier loot zone, that little blue circle that you see on that map, because one of the biggest problems for Real G is I just don't see them getting their hands on those big weapons, right? And speaking of weapons, you got to hit their weapons arsenal as well. You got to get those upgraded guns. You got to go for those airdrops. But even as I say that, we all understand that these are all risky spots because they are high engagement areas. On Bermuda, though, almost all these teams know it like the back of their hands, so getting away from a sticky situation is not impossible. And unlike the years of, when we first started casting for Free Fire, you can now not only revive your team members, you've got literally vending machine after vending machine all over the map. So the probability of recovering from an unfortunate mistake is there. And speaking of the blue circle, Fortunov will hold the high-tier loot zone as the flight path cuts through Mars Electric all the way down to Riverside.
Now let's see though who's going in on those spots, and we're going to find out as well if there will be potential hot drops, because I know T-Rex will be heading into that peak area, and as we called it, that blue tier zone is now a hot drop for not only 2 but 3 teams, I believe.
Yeah, so high risk, high reward. And obviously 5 stars struggling to get into the top 12. We're looking for that high-tier loot zone. They were the first ones out of the flight and probably the first ones to hit the ground. But what kind of weapons they managed to claim in their hands, that's the biggest question. And they are going up against RNKTZ, the team that has been so consistent, the heaviest hitters out there who have claimed 3 booyahs from yesterday. So RNKTZ is definitely the more dangerous one here. Abandonados dropping in Laligaru as well, but I don't know how crazy of a strategy this is because Laligaru is going to be dependent on those snipers, and you don't usually find snipers so easily out here.
Yeah, exactly. And the smart move for Laligaru and Abandonados is they split up. So it's only Laligaru who is on Pochinac right now, and the rest of the teams are up north in Catolistiwa or a part of Bullseye. So let's see if this is something that he can take advantage of. This is something that he has been doing so well, stealing off all those elimination out of the teams engaging. But 5-star right now, the team that really needs all those points. Rekha, the wrecker, not wrecking so much.
Oh yeah, not wrecking so much at all. But the question is, will 5 stars be able to punish Strung here, who's on the rotation in Z? Just takes those shots like a champ. Mac 10 in his hands, can't do much from that at all. John B gets picked up instantaneously. Garrick from afar, MP5 in hand. 5 stars, 2 players down on the ground, and John B is not going to be able to get picked up that easily. Silence there for the assist. John B taken out. Itzy just finishes up the remaining pieces here, and Rekha unable to wreck anyone just yet. will try to get away from this compound. But the one mistake 5 Stars is making right now is sticking together. They've only got 2 more players here. They have to split up, Nev.
Yeah, definitely they need to split up. But Eric, that despite of the effort on going in for the vending machine has been taken down, and only 1 player remains. It is Rekka, who will not be wrecking so much, but will need to move away. Down south, the Mars Electric, I don't think anyone will be in there, and Kenny has been waiting as well, collecting all those coins for them to revive the rest of the teammates. So 5 Stars not out of this game just yet, but we might be seeing a few more engagement of North because Laligaru might have dropped in far from the rest of the teams, but the rest of Abandonados might be meeting up against 2 teams, that is Team Fighter as well as CDG.
Solid recovery for 5 Stars as they managed to hit that revival onto Eric. Rekka getting out of that danger zone just in the nick of time. Abandonados, on the other hand, did not lose Laligaru. Laligaru saw 2 squads dropping on in there, and he's like, nope, we are not doing this today, Jose, as they got on out. And obviously, the smart play was to throw Laligaru into a situation where he's just kind of playing solo, right? Because if anybody can survive, it's Laligaru.
Exactly. We've seen that from yesterday. He managed to almost clutch up for their team. And if it wasn't for the damage of the blue, he could have survived a little bit longer. But, well, let's talk about that later on. CDG now in the sights of Gaju from Team Fighters. And Team Fighters went into the fight and at some point lost 2 of their players. Now, despite of having a vending machine right there, it's very risky for Gaju to run right through. But Brian right now would be meeting up against Mao 7, but those engagement can pull in the rest of CDG to eliminate him.
Yeah, CDG is one of those teams who have bought a huge insurance policy for themselves already. So no matter what happens here, I don't think they're at risk at all. But of course, looking at the numbers disadvantage for Brian, there's no way in hell he's going to be able to take this 1v4 and walk out of there with points. I mean, he might have gotten lucky with maybe a knock, but the numbers on the side of CDG, more than enough to sort him out. But of course, playing at the very edge of this circle is not going to be a huge disadvantage for them. CDG is continuing their looting progress. And 1 team eliminated early, and it is not the right team here. We talked about how Rail G was sitting down real low on that leaderboard, and they continue to stay there.
Yeah, I mean, as the OGs or the real Gs, they are low rider at this point, and they're riding it very low on 18. So CLD, the team that managed to eliminate them, if I'm not mistaken, will now be the new elimination leader. But the battle continues now. We have been seeing Gaju and Team Fighters going fight, and CDG 2 down, but still a potential for them to be brought back up.
Yeah, I mean, amazing drop here by Team Fighters. They take that jump pad, they hot drop the team of CDG, who did not expect visitors at that very moment. But those 2 knocks instantaneously averted. And instead, Talon with a VSK shuts down Blaze from up top. And it is Team Fighters that are absorbing the heavier hits here. But thankfully, the team's not eliminated just yet. They didn't go in for the full-on commitment. 2-9 did not take the jump pad, and he will be the reason why the team continues to survive.
Yeah, collecting coins, bringing back the teammates is one point that we are talking about, like the change of pace in terms of Free Fire Battle Royale and how it adds up to all those elimination as well. But I think he has been spotted, and with no meds at all, he is definitely in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, you got to focus on one of 2 things, and 2-9 focused on too many things. Unfortunate for him, looking for coins, no medkit on him. And he is going to get hunted down for sure. On style, though. Blex looking for those shots with a woodpecker, instead gets turned on. And Team Fighters out in 11th. I guess 2-9 didn't manage to collect enough coins in time.
Yeah, 2-9 adds up to 18. Not quite sure how that is related to what I'm going to say, but they have failed overall. But I would say Team Fighters, good enough that they're not on the 18th spot. That's one thing. 18 is their number, but not in the 18th spot. But as we see the sudden shift of the circle heading into CLG, close to Abandonados, that's where the early engagement or where it is about to begin, because Binoculars has been used to spot Abandonados close, and CLG will be on their toes to shut them down.
A very interesting strategy here coming through from T-Rex, sending their UAV towards Peak. It doesn't detect anybody at all, but they continue rotating towards RNKTZ and Pochinok. And this is towards the very edge of the circle. So I want to catch up with a little bit of that action here. And as I mentioned, T-Rex with this interesting rotation coming on around. And obviously RNKTZ not expecting anything in terms of danger, because they would just be assuming that everybody's looking for that safe zone. Up onto the roof. Player JK has got good eyes on them. Russo Bolakan finding on Blex. That's not going to be what they're looking for, though. RNKTZ on this roof now could either put T-Rex in a lot of trouble or get wrecked by T-Rex. Player JK needs one more. No M82B for this man just yet. Riptide Rhythm breaking down their defenses, and RNKTZ dropping behind the roof just to play a little bit of a safer side. But Bolakan going in for the flank.
As the song says, the Tyrannosaurus Rex are the great hunters, and they are now hunting RNKTZ. Making sure that they grab as much booyah as possible to split up as well. Will give them that gatekeep capability just in case the players or the 3 remaining on this spot will be taken down. So 2 down already, and the rest of RKTZ has a tail, and it might be RKTZ Tranghia who can respond, but not so much of eliminate the entire squad.
Yeah, one unfortunate mistake made by Bolakan here, looking for the elimination instead of picking up his buddy, and he missed him by just that 1 second. And obviously RNKTZ not missing that opportunity to put an instant end to him. Bolakan now, M590 in hand. Does he make a mistake? Electrotherapy connected already. Russo has got that Mag 7. Unrain! Player JK still strikes from afar. That VSK so deadly, and he takes Unrain out of the equation. And now electrotherapy on. Bolakan looking for the blood, and Silent X M1014 in hand gets knocked down to the ground. Tranghia desperately tries to get away. RNKTZ, no booyah for you this time round, as Bolakan drops on down like the god of death. 7 eliminations in hand, and they just ate up RNKTZ.
First 2 set of circles, 10 minutes into the game, 7 eliminations already, and T-Rex is rocking it. Despite of losing Darius at this point, it's still early for them to give up, and they might be meeting a few more players, especially on style that they were trying to take down earlier. But with all those noise, T-Rex might be feeling a few of those damage, not only from the blue, but also from those gatekeeping them.
Absolutely, man. I mean, obviously, losing Darius was a huge blow to T-Rex, but they still had player JK with that VSK from afar. This boy was just absolutely whooping RNKTZ in shape. There was no recovery from that. And obviously, they just didn't have the right guns on them, right? You're talking about the M590. You're talking about the M590 going up against the M1014. You know, what's in meta is in meta. If you don't have that meta gun, you're probably not going to walk away with the most damage in that 1v1. And on top of that, the electrotherapy from Cassie pumping him up, you know, it's just oozing that adrenaline through his veins. I think T-Rex is geared up for the 4 booyahs in here today. They want to show RNKTZ who's boss. But of course, we'll catch up with RNKTZ a little bit later on, whether they have a response for this. For the time being, though, it's not T-Rex on the top of the leaderboard with the eliminations. It's CDG still rocking it out there with 10 elims.
Oh, definitely. I mean, CDG up north on Riverside and is about to hit it up with Team Phantoms. But for 5-star right now, jumping in straight on style. This might be the saving grace for T-Rex the moment they jump in. But John B and the rest of 5-stars right now, they need the points, but they're losing out on some other players because of how they position themselves, and on style looking like they are playing in style a little bit better.
Oh, what a mistake! A wrong placement of the glue wall prevented 5-stars from running away from on-style. Could not jump in through the window. And they all fall like dominoes. Kenny, the final player, really low, but he still buys himself a little bit of extra leeway here. Has got the Trogon in hand, cannot save Garrick anymore. Question is, does he manage to put up a strong fight? Because T-Rex is in the house as well, and Bolakan eats him up.
They just jumped in to that chaos, and neither the teams who are fighting expected T-Rex to be there. So that would be 12 points already for T-Rex. But as you can see in the map, there's a lot of engagement outside of the next phase of the circle. And CDG, as mentioned earlier, was leading those elimination. But I guess they will have some challenge the moment they meet up with T-Rex. But speaking of T-Rex, this would be the threat that would be felt by Smoke the moment they drop in or jump into the next phase of the circle. The same goes with CLG, who has been waiting for so long.
Now, question is, will Smoke be able to get into this next circle? Because the two teams that are right in front of them, CLG and T-Rex, it's just like running between two monsters who are absolutely hungry. And Smoke, it's been a while since we've seen them smoke anyone. The one booyah that they pulled away yesterday was good enough to show us that they are in for the grand final sort of a play. But getting into the circle now just turns out to be a little bit more easier as T-Rex makes their move in a little bit deeper into the safe zone, opening up this rotation for Team Smoke. But Phantom meeting T-Rex halfway. Abandonado's taking those shots up against them, and Laligaru out of nowhere. POW down on the ground, but Laligaru shut down by player JK. T-Rex just knows exactly who to aim for.
Questionable move for Team Phantoms, just jumping in middle of nowhere, knowing that there's still 7 teams remaining, but for 16, 17, 18, trying to add up those numbers, and Ryo YT will be taking down 3 eliminations already for Team Smoke, but only 2 players, and on the other side, we have Team Phantom being taken down. Now, Smoke on the chase against the players of CDG, not spotted, but will he be able to make it? No! A shot from afar coming from Gomez. Rio and Smoke will turn to dust.
Yeah, absolutely, man. They got smoked on their way in towards the safe zone. And speaking of safe zone, look who's in there. T-Rex looking for the first booyah of the day. Charlie, 4 eliminations in hand for CLG, but to make the rotation into this next zone is going to be a challenge for sure. CDG's in the house as well. Dark Hunters, the team that desperately needs some points, hanging on with just one final player. As I say that, Maraquin falls. Unfortunately for him, this circle's way too tiny, and there are too many players out there.
Let's see, though, as CLG only have 2 players in here against the 3 of CDG, and for T-Rex, potential for them to be the Booyah Takers. Player JK, AWM, spots in CLG, and the second shot brings him down. Another one that would meet him. Riptide Rhythm right now, and that is player JK, not kidding around.
Nah, man, Riptide Rhythm just got a huge buff, which means you gotta watch out when the red little orb is flying towards your glue walls. Instantaneous shutdown. Player JK continues to absolutely wreck CDG, and T-Rex with a massive booyah to open up the final knockout stage day.
Oh, this is smelling like their second day of the group stage. They started off with a booyah, and what we've seen from Art and KTZ yesterday, they want to beat that record up 3. So let's see, though. We're going to see on some of the engagement that happened right here. But again, how T-Rex managed to come along, like wreak havoc all throughout the teams that are engaging, being the third party. That's how they stack up on the points.
Player JK is so freaking crazy, man. I mean, the AWM in his hands, yeah, you might as well just call it quits and just jump out of the lobby, because this guy is going to wreck you either way, right? So accurate with the shots, so quick with the aim as well. And look at this. This was player JK. The headshots that this guy was aiming with that AWM, if it wasn't for that glue wall, it would have been 3 knocks with 3 shots, all right? Good play, but just shortly after that, his Riptide Rhythm. Player JK is unstoppable now with that Skylar Neptune.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how he is playing the sniper at this point is similar to what we've seen from the other regions. The best sniper that we are looking at in terms of the U.S. region. And it's tough. It's tough to be a sniper in I would say in the field wherein everyone is almost going up close, but this is what they're taking advantage of. Great sniper, great follow-up from the rest of the teams. Thus, T-Rex is really being the predator.
Yeah. You know, as opposed to as opposed to many of the seasons of years past, whenever the meta changes, there's a huge shift between whether it's a sniper meta, whether it's a shotgun meta, but I feel like everything has been balanced now in the world of Free Fire, right? And, you know, you're going to see your snipers perform, you're going to see your shotgun players perform as well, but player JK just cooking it out there. He's got the chrono, I don't know how he's got the chrono there, but this man, the main skill we want to highlight here is that Skylar. That Riptide rhythm with the recent buff it received just made player JK, you know, it just bumped him up to a whole new level. 8 eliminations, 4 assists, 3 headshots. We saw those headshots. 7,185 damage. That's sick, Neptune.
Exactly. I mean, from a sniper, it is expected because you can put up so much of damage from afar, but that high is definitely the ceiling at this point. Even against CDG, Mao 7, it's a huge stretch for what Mao 7 can pull out. Elimination-wise, yes, 8-5, that's close enough. But the damage itself, how much he worked, the effort he put in, that's what it translates to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Mao 7 very efficient with the shots. 2,000 damage, 5 eliminations, as opposed to 7k damage, 8 eliminations. Player JK wasn't finishing off all of his meal, right? He was taking bites out of each burger and then throwing the rest away. Some may think that's a bad thing, but as far as player JK is concerned, he doesn't care. He's just tagging up everyone on the battlefield. Look at this overall head-to-head. 21 eliminations versus 16. Look at the damage, man. T-Rex was ripping everybody to shreds, and they were not going for the kill. They were just moving in circle after circle. They just didn't care. Nobody could stop them in this game. Not even RNKTZ.
Definitely. I mean, 21 elimination. The damage overall, it has been increased, blown up because of what T-Rex has brought in. And, well, having player JK, he is, I would say, the mama dinosaur at this point. Starting off on their prey, and then the rest of the teams, Mama Rex, preying in on those elimination would be the rest of the team. So not so much though compared to the AT that we've seen mostly in Solara, but you know how it is. Bermuda, everyone knows this. They know how to get away. Thus, despite of a lot of engagement that happened, we still are seeing great on terms of elimination as well as damage from most of the teams. But the match standings overall, 33 for T-Rex, followed by CDG as well as CLG, but the gap in between is huge.
Damn, bro. 33 points in one game. That's massive. Like you said, there's a huge gap between 33 and 25. But CDG still managed to put on a phenomenal performance out there as well, right? 16 eliminations, that's no joke. They were definitely on a tear as well. And we see this is a very top-heavy lobby here at Bermuda because towards the bottom, teams like Team Fighter, Real G, On Style, they were barely pulling away points. So most of it absorbed out at the top. Dark Hunters, though, do manage to move up just a tad bit here. And this is the most important thing. At the bottom 6, once again, there's not a lot of points difference. One really solid game from them can push them up to the top. And Dark Hunters did enough to get towards that final circle. Through placement points alone, they should be able to overtake Tonio 5 stars. They just need to keep this up. But that particular statement does not apply just for them, right? Any team in that bottom 6, as long as they can bring out some sort of consistency to get to that final circle, that's what we're looking for.
Exactly. I mean, it's still less than 20 points for Real G to be able to cross over on the 12 spot or probably take that 12 spot away from 5 stars. And 5 stars, well, yesterday they looked like 3 stars, but the end of the day, even up until today, they are looking like 1 star. So let's see if they can bring up those stars to their favor. But for Dark Hunters, I would say survivability overall, name of the game for Free Fire, name of the game for Battle Royale, that is what they're doing. Just go back to the basics. If you need points, yes, grab that. And being in the 4th spot can give you so much more, especially if you get a few more elimination.
Yeah, and I know many esports players are always accused of being campers, you know, playing like they're scared out there. it's a battle royale, bro. You better be scared,
Uh-huh.
right? Especially when T-Rex is prowling on out there. And if you're in the bottom 6 right now, yeah, you better be camping. I mean, try to take a drop towards the outer circle. Just collect as much loot as possible, because the intention of the gameplay now should not be looking for eliminations for these teams that are struggling. It should be what Dark Hunters were doing in that first game. Purely going on the game of survival, getting to that final circle. On the way there, some engagements where they can pull away 1 or 2 points, try to hit for it, but go for what can be guaranteed. Eliminations cannot be guaranteed. What can be guaranteed, Neptune, is the giveaway.
Definitely, I mean, once again, head to reward.ffdelgorino.com and make sure you have that ready once the code shows up. The first 100 players will be redeeming the items, and only 1 item per player. It's only available within this broadcast. So why not show the code in 3, 2, 1? Let's go. Bring it on. Take those screenshots and enter those codes.
Absolutely, man. And of course, once again, just the first 100 players. So if you are not redeeming this, if you're not punching it into the website Neptune just read out, you're probably going to be on the losing end. You're not going to be able to redeem these items. Don't think that, okay, yeah, I've got the money, bro. I can buy these items later in the store. No, you will not find these items in the store for purchase. They are only redeemable through these codes. So if you snooze, you definitely lose. Don't be like the teams who are in the bottom 6 right now, right? You got to be quick. You got to be quick to get to that final circle. You got to play it safe as well. What do I mean by playing it safe? You got to keep that website open on a tab at all times, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the reason why we keep saying the website, so that you have it ready and aware that you can just enter those codes. Even without taking the screenshot, you have plenty of time to tap that code. And then also take note that some of the survivors out there are very caring. So they're sharing it to their friends as well. So despite of not having that much, or probably you're thinking you don't have that much viewers that can take it in a few seconds, well, guess again.
Absolutely, man. Now, when we look at T-Rex's gameplay earlier on, I did notice that player JK, we were looking at 7 to 8 eliminations. One of their players was raking in absolutely nothing. Now, this has got to be something that it's not a conversation for just today. It's something that I want to see evolve over time, because, we are just kicking off the USA Championship after 3 long years, Neptune. Obviously, roster changes are going to be something that we are all going to be privy to in the coming seasons. And this is something that the teams need to refine a little bit more, right? Because if we want to see the teams from North America move on to the world stage one day, they have to continuously refine this. They have to continuously refine the way of dominance out there. And if T-Rex can continue to sharpen those claws, then the teeth is not what we're going to be fearing the most. It's those claws on those tiny little hands.
Exactly. I mean, how close you can get with those claws, that is the question, but the damage you will receive once you are
Claws
gripped
are like
by
shotguns.
Let's go.
Not like a sniper, right? You don't have a very far reach with it, but when you
SMGs
get
probably.
when you get close enough, it hurts, bro. Right? So Bermuda, a map where people know it like the back of their hands, that's done and dusted already. Now we move on into a map which is freaking brand new. It just got introduced. Not many teams, have fully mastered this map, the rotation, or the different, areas within each and every single compound. So this kind of puts the game back into a decent balance for the teams who are struggling with these rotations. But of course, it's going to come to those mechanical skills. Can you get the shots? Can you hit it like player JK or one of these other champions out there? It's all going to be dependent on their reaction time here, Neptune, on Solara. And I got to say, I absolutely love this map.
Exactly. And one thing that teams need to be looking forward to is this map brings in a lot of elimination. So if you're looking for survivability plus elimination, this is where you bring it. Because of the early engagement, because of the element of surprise as well, being a new map in this mix. So there's still a lot of scuffle that has been happening early as well as mid-game. So, and most of the time we see 80 plus in terms of overall stats once we jump into Solara. So for those teams that are struggling in elimination, no need to worry, because I think there will be a lot more that can be brought in, raked in when it comes to this game.
And of course, we also have to acknowledge that we've got all of these slide rails out there, which kind of makes the rotation around Solara so convenient. And before you know it, you're probably going to be fighting two teams. For example, if you're all the way out at the hub, you've got 3 rails going in towards the hub, right? That's the kind of danger that things like this hold. If you are at Windmill and you're kind of choosing to go for the high tier loot zone, you can actually drop at the Windmill first, or you can drop just outside of Waterfall, get the loot first, and then head on into that high tier loot zone to eliminate whoever who went in there for the risky play. So many strategies can be pulled off here. And as I talk about Windmill, look at where T-Rex is going, man. This is danger zone for whoever who's deciding to drop into this high tier loot zone. But T-Rex will take the early fight up against CLG at Windmill. We'll catch up with them in a little bit, because Team Fighters up against On Style in the high tier loot zone is going to be a prime fight as well.
Oh, so it's not just CLG that will be dropping in as well.
Oh my.
We have another team, which is Dark Hunters. Well, I think they've scratched off the survivability. They've done that earlier already. But hopefully one player will just run away and try to survive. Perverse right now will be hit so much, and XMA coming from Ruzo XD will take him down.
You got your winners, you got your losers, man. And Dark Hunters, unfortunately, were the losers in that early engagement. Laligaru off screen shuts down one shoe, and the fight between Abandonados and Team Fighters starts off with a great attack coming through from the squad of Abandonados. Player JK has got the AC-80, but the wrong gun in a CQC. The P90 wins that out hands down.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially if you don't have enough armor and helmet on you, you will be taken down because of damage or the number of bullets that will be hitting you early on. Now, CLG will be going back into the main area of Windmill, and T-Rex is still into the mix. But on the other side, though, Laligaru has been taken down, but it doesn't mean that the rest of Abandonados will be in a fight. But On Style will not be playing in style so much longer, because they will be the first team to be eliminated at this point.
Yeah, I mean, great rotation by T-Rex. They dropped outside of Windmill, and then they took those glide rails straight in, and that gave them that backdoor access into Windmill and a little bit of an advantage here over CLG as well. Got to catch up a little bit later on with the team Fighters, most probably because Dark Hunters decided to drop on in there as well, as T-Rex continues to smash CLG up against the wall. Gomez Rio doesn't want any part of this, tries to run away, but he's pulling off the master distraction. There is still another survivor on the side of CLG who's hanging on for his dear life. Let's see if or not Riot will be able to get away.
Sacrificial chess piece at this point, just to make sure that they have a good chance. A knock, if it could have been followed up, could be 1 point. But CLG, even one, has been taken down from afar. Not quite sure what happened. Probably it was how we're looking at it, a knockdown already. So CLG has just been waiting for a chance to probably get away, but Gomez Rio was not given that chance. So Rex right now, or T-Rex, would be our elimination leader. But as you did mention, Dark Hunters, who managed to drop in with Team Fighters, only has Mami, and similar situation from what we've seen from Gomez Rio.
Yeah, unfortunate for CLG. I thought Riot was hiding, but instead he was just crawling around. Help me, help me. That's what he was saying. Fortunately, Gomez Rio could not help him. He was just being hunted down by so many of those players from the side of T-Rex. But of course, that's exactly how the cookie crumbles, and T-Rex owns Windmill at this point of time. RNKTZ, on the other hand, though, moving on in towards that high-tier loot zone. Just flirting around the edge of that zone, wondering if or not they want to be stepping on in. Team Fighters, we did see them kind of conquering the area, taking out On Style very early on. So they've got the loot. They can take on this fight up against a team like RNKTZ. Question is, do they want a challenge? Mami, on the other hand, just crying by the rocks, just wondering what went wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing, though, that he was spotted and run into this area. Now he can pull in a fight against Team Fighters as well as RKTZ. But on the other side, it's Abandonados who shot them coming from the hub. So RKTZ will be taking a U-turn and trying to take revenge for what they did to Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And RNKTZ, we'll catch up with that actually in a little bit. Now, RG, the team that's dead last from Group A, 16 points down at the very bottom. And Rain brought back in here, but 18 Duck shuts down Mao from afar. No elimination just yet. M249 with the LMG. He manages to get the knock. But it looks like the Real G is a tad bit too far away to secure the confirmation on that knockdown. And they will kind of miss out here. If I was Real G, I would just make a U-turn and get out of there.
Yeah, go and survive. Despite of how much promise a Duck has, or 18 Duck has, because of the name, there's still a lot to work with.
Ooh,
But
nice.
Duck once again, M249 for the takedown. Mao 7 losing all those armors because of a double knockdown already. And, well, that is the time. That is the cue that RG, or Real G, is waiting for. But Talent, M24 in hand, might be able to spot one and knock one down, but manage to just pull away and doesn't want to deal with it because in a few they will be waiting for the next phase of the circle.
T-Rex up against CDG. This is a big fight. CDG is currently holding on to the number 1 spot. T-Rex on second, looking to become the number 1 team after this fight. And player JK is instantaneously shutting them down one after the other. Mao 7 may have been able to survive the onslaught from the Ducks. But up against the T-Rex squad, that is just not going their way at all. One more, M590. And the double revolver will do absolutely nothing for Talent. He may have that talent in the world of Free Fire, but up against these dinosaurs, everybody seems puny.
Yeah, I mean, if a Duck stomp on you, it doesn't hurt that much. If a T-Rex stomps on you, yes, you need to run away. Abandonados, though, managed to take down a few players from RKTZ, and now they are putting in the hurt on this team. RKTZ is not looking good, special for this day.
I mean, Abandonados, the team that abandoned the very first match of yesterday, have made that jump in towards the top 12 and now slowly climbing up. Now they're currently leading this lobby with the most number of eliminations. And of all teams, they are trying to take on RNKTZ themselves. And surprisingly, they are doing better than them. 3 eliminations they have taken off of RNKTZ. Twice Anrain has fallen, gotten revived, and then the third time the guy fell as well. Abandonados just farming on RNKTZ at this point of time. But of course, it's not the end for RNKTZ just yet. As Strong here manages to get away alongside Silent. They had to split up, looking for those coins, looking for the revival on the rest of the team members as well.
Let's see, though, on how that worked for Abandonados, but switching over to Team Fighters, is hunting the CDG players that we saw already being taken down.
Ooh.
King right now, half an HP, and trying to hide away, similar to what we've seen Mami do. But Blue will be closing in. Yes, it doesn't hurt, but we don't have an idea on if there is some hits on CDG right now. So Team Fighters would be heading into that slide rails, moving in. And one thing though, one tactic that the slide rails bring in as well is the distraction. That being stepped on will light up red, and that can be used as a potential distraction for a good backstab as well. But speaking of backstab, that could have happened already against 5-star because T-Rex is on a roll.
Yeah, they are just steamrolling everyone for sure. Eric trying his best to get away. Balakarn looking for that flank. But this guy's a CQC player. How is he going to be able to hit Eric from afar? I don't know. Player JK has been called for as backup. Ladigaru off screen finds Mami. Duck Hunter still being capped left, right, center. Looking for that revival is going to be hard for them. But Maraquin and Purvis are most definitely still alive somewhere out there. We saw them on the map earlier on. We'll catch up with them a little bit later. But T-Rex, 11 eliminations already. They are on a different level today. They want to show RNKTZ how it's done with the Quadra Booyah. Question is, will someone find the Punisher? 5 stars on the other hand. 3 stars again.
3 stars again, down to on their way to 1 star. Well, let's see though. Eric, yes, Bulakarn will now be able to hit him up close and personal, but he managed to pull in player JK. That was a swap roll for them at that point, just to make sure that they can hit that elimination. Unfortunately for Phantom, I think Meliodas will be stuck in one side, and Tox, as well as another one, will be run over by Real G. It's been a while since they got the points the moment that they got away from earlier engagement, but Capo with only 1 HP. The blue will be helping them in taking him out, but Ryan saves him. Will he be able to heal up though? Because they are getting close.
Yeah, big brain play there with the Orion pop by Capo. But Meliodas, is he awaiting that head? Meliodas? What? Duck? Oh, this duck is blind, brother. Meliodas just got away with that one. No idea how he did that. But everybody's kind of just locked on in, looking for Capo. Meliodas with the great ninja skills. Staying in. There's no way he didn't see him at the corner of his screen. But it's all right. Meliodas survives.
He survives, but as I mentioned earlier, he has been disconnected. So there might be something that, like, once you're disconnected, the opponents will not see you instantaneously. So that's one thing that they need to work on, having Meliodas back in play. Otherwise, they will be eliminated from the game. So 9 teams remaining. RKTZ now, again, being hunted by Abandonados, but it's Laligaru who falls down from that fight.
Meliodas just revived Toe out of nowhere, so I don't even know how's Meliodas doing this. At the vending machine outside the circle, this is like crazy levels of strategy coming through from Team Phantom, who desperately need some points to climb into the top 12. Abandonados, on the other hand, will be wrecking RNKTZ. Trung here with the one final second savior with the Bison, but I think he's run out of luck already. Rex, unfortunate with that Riptide rhythm as he takes it on his own glue walls. But the revival is there for Abandonados. Unrain shut down. Trung here trying his best to get to him and pick him up. Silent alongside Unrain. 2v1 now. Rex up against them. Has got the M249. 13 eliminations in hand. Abandonados is off to a great start here.
Oh, definitely. I mean, a lot of elimination. A moment they went against RNKTZ, they had the advantage, but they couldn't finish them off. But Brian, a little bit too risky up close and personal. Garudo dropping in with a P90 in hand, and without armor, that is the risk that they have. But still, they managed to go for the fight. Dark Hunters, though, despite of how well they tried for survivability, didn't survive for so long. So let's see if they'll be able to add more points later. But RNKTZ ends this time.
Sneaky from Team Fighters. They were listening to all of that breakdown. Abandonados looking for those eliminations, and Team Fighters were just hiding away thinking, AJ said survive. Don't fight. You're right, Team Fighters. You just chill, man. Placement points is all we're looking for the time being. Some extra coins out there. Manchu dropping it for the rest of his team members, but Team Smoke getting smoked by the Rail G. And Rail G, we know how many points they need. They need a lot of points. And they're picking it up off of Team Smoke. But the squad hasn't been eliminated just yet. Yoke is outside the circle. And he does not want to mess with T-Rex of all teams.
Oh, definitely. I mean, very close to T-Rex on the edge of the circle, but third going to fourth, it will definitely hurt. SVD in hand, or is that a heal sniper in hand? We'll have to see later on, but Yokis, it's a wrong way. It's definitely bad luck for Yokis right now because the slide rails that he has is on the other side, and he will be taken down. Unfortunate for him, T-Rex will still be far away from the rest of the teams. Abandonados up close and dealing with CDG.
Yeah, Abandonados looking for the points off of CDG. 15 eliminations in hand already. Reckoning out everyone that they come across. But Laligaru down on the ground. Good glue wall pulled out here. And the pickup is solid. 17 eliminations strong for Abandonados, and they are the first ones into the next circle.
There's one thing, one huge turnaround from Abandonados. First off, they played for survivability. Now they're playing for elimination. And this is what we're talking about, that evolution of a team, especially if you don't want to be relegated away from getting in to the grand finals. But Duck right now will be taken down. Real G right now also doing so much work. And I guess they've already added so much of the points for them to get close to that top 12.
This is a sticky situation indeed. Real G in Group A desperately needs more points. but the circle's not on their side. 18 Duck a little bit too far away from the rest of them. Alex down on the ground. The glue wall can pick him right back up here. Josue just putting on the hurt. Laligaru down on the ground. Nino going in here for the save. And from the back end of the circle here, you can see T-Rex on the clear, looking for that circle. Nobody to challenge them. And they will take that opening to shut down player after player from the side of Rail G.
Oh, SBD from the hands of Darius. Player JK instantly picked up, and only Duck remains, but Abandonados going in for the flank, and they will be the next target of T-Rex. And this is how deadly T-Rex is nowadays. It's not just up close, but even from a long range, they can take it down.
Yeah, Abandonados literally stole away 2 eliminations from the side of T-Rex. T-Rex putting in the work to get those knocks. Abandonados just giving the final bullets to claim those points for themselves. Will, of course, play with Nino's lives as he got knocked down, but the instant recovery was smooth there for the team of Abandonados. And they are on the clear side of this circle. On the opposite side, though, Team Fighters up against T-Rex. 20 eliminations in hand already. It's a 2v1. Team Fighters stands no chance here. And Russo X cleans up house as they pick up Bolacan once again.
Oh, quick pick up, making sure that they have full squad right now, and they are in a good spot to get a few more points. But it is Abandonados taking down a few players in there, but finishing off is T-Rex. So it's a 4v4, make that 3v4 right now. That pickup will be one thing that can be advantageous for Abandonados, but let's see if they can wreck it against T-Rex.
Well, Riptide Rhythm, courtesy of player JK, breaking down their defense as Russo X M590 misses that one good shot, pulls out the chrono as well, a little bit mistimed. And inside they go with the M590 once again, and Bolacan performs as anticipated, and the back-to-back booyah by the Dinosaurs. T-Rex Esports dominating day 2.
You know how it is. Day 2, T-Rex is aiming for 4 of those booyahs, and they're ready up on 2. Now, this is, well, I know that they are part of Group A and they're going to rest. So hopefully that doesn't damage the momentum that they have. But in terms of points, I guess this really brings them up to that #1 spot that is difficult to reach by the other team.
I mean, that was insane. 38 points, I believe, they claim for themselves because 26 eliminations overall. And of course, the Booyah credits you with the 12 unbelievable stuff from T-Rex. Not just the back-to-back Booyah, but the way they were claiming all of those lives. But at this point of time, it's anticipated that T-Rex will be performing, as we kind of discussed this at the start of the broadcast itself. We were expecting the Dinosaurs to go a little bit crazy. What I did not expect was to see Abandonado stand toe-to-toe with T-Rex. Of course, T-Rex kind of ripping their heads off in that final engagement in the 4v4, but Abandonado's got massive numbers of eliminations as well. We'll highlight them in a little bit. Rax with the MVP. This time, not player JK. 8 eliminations, 8 assists, 4,851 on the damage, 6 headshots with the M249 of all things. He brings in the Skylar as well. Not so sure how Wukong got there, but this is Abandonado's just a beautiful stuff out there, right? And this is where you're going to be pissing off T-Rex, because here's player JK thinking that I'm going to go for the 4 MVPs as my team goes in for the 4 Booyahs, but Abandonados, like the ninjas they are, just stole this one away.
Exactly. And as we go into the head-to-head right now, elimination-wise, it is quite balanced. Like that is JK and Rax. So it's a sniper against, well, M249 that has been used by Rax, but I'm pretty sure he had rake in so much of points. But in terms of damage, that is more to Rax right now. But the revives also more for the side of Abandonados. But it did work for them, despite of like those revive instantaneously from this team.
Well, he was using the M249 like a sniper for sure, right? We saw so many knocks coming through from the guy. And technically, he's walking in here with the Skylar. We almost always just see the sniper heading on there with the Skylar. So, you know, he was really wrecking them. 23 eliminations versus 26 eliminations. Yes, of both teams crossing the 10,000 on the damage. But Abandonados were forced to play the revives a little bit more than T-Rex. So you can kind of see who's more deadlier out there, who's more capable out there to take these big fights. 26 eliminations for T-Rex. They really rocked this lobby. and a massive chunk of those eliminations overall was just this with these two teams, right? They alone kind of conquered 60% of the eliminations.
And I was expecting a lot more in terms of elimination, but I guess it's because some of the teams has been taken out a little bit early in that Solara map. Thus, they didn't revive and like just fight back to be eliminated once again. So, as you did mention, only 2 teams managed to get double digit in terms of elimination. So that's also one reason why we don't get so much in terms of that number. But the damage itself, that is another high overall. And well, correction, that is Real G as well that has a double digit that is 15. So they're in a good spot to get away from 18 place.
My goodness me. Real G see, Neptune, once again, we highlighted this of how one decent game can launch you away from the bottom. And earlier, when we spotted Real G, they were dead last. They were 18 out of 18. And right now, they sit on the 13th spot, 3 points away from TFE Sports. And obviously, teams like MTG as well as Don Chui, Tonio from Group C will have something to say about that in the next 2 games. But I think Real G has done really well for themselves. They just need to keep this momentum up for themselves if they want to see some cold hard cash.
Yeah, definitely. That is one thing that they need to do, and also study the next set of games. Well, they are still part of next set of games though, so they are Group A. So I guess what I mentioned about T-Rex, they can continue their reign because it's back to back for Group A, and they will now be playing for the last 2 match. But again, going back to Real G, even Abandonados, they were very low on the top 12, but now they are on the 5th spot because of how they performed in that one specific map, as well as survivability from Bermuda. So I'm looking for more coming from this team, but I know the introduction of Group C would be something that they need to adapt to as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, Group A is just going to be chilling for a little bit. And, you know, down at the end of the day, it seems like there's still a couple of opportunities, right? 2 more games for these teams to make a good play for themselves. For Rail G, as well as Dark Hunters in Group A, it may stand a chance, but you've only got 2 more games, and we've seen the inconsistencies from these teams already. And you know, no matter however we try to paint this story, at the end of the day, that's how the system works. So we are looking for the top 12 teams. 6 teams must be eliminated, and everybody gets the same number of chances out there. So if you snooze, once again, you lose. But Real G did not snooze on us this time around, and I really like to see that hustle, Neptune.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 2 more chances for Real G as well as Dark Hunters. We know the Dark Hunters are trying their best to go for survivability, but it's just the quickness on adapting, and that's what Real G has done so far. They managed to do so much of damage, survive so much longer, stuck together, and he having some insurance policy just in case 3 of their players will be taken down. That's just some of the basics that is being overlooked at by a lot of teams, especially those in the bottom 6.
And you look at Abandonados, they're doing exactly what you just said, right? Laligaru just splitting off very early on because they know Laligaru can kind of handle his own out there. Laligaru's always looking for those snipers, and you know, if he does get into a little bit of a mix-up too early, the 3 players will be able to revive him. The 3 others, though, need to back each other up, and that strategy, although made me a little bit nervous initially, Abandonados have proven that is the winning strategy for them. Dark Hunters, like you said, just kind of going a little bit too passive here. If there's no eliminations, I'm worried, but I do agree with Dark Hunters. Kind of stay passive long enough. Get aggressive in those final few circles. The problem is getting to the final circle is the issue. But of course, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, survivors of all ages, we're going to be taking a quick short break. When we come back, it's going to be a little bit of a shift in those groups, but more action for sure. Welcome back, survivors. This is the Free Fire USA Championship 2025 knockout stage, day 2. This is the final day to qualify for the grand finals. Group A only has 2 more games to play for points, but you guys have got many more opportunities to pick up some of the giveaways that we have got lined up here for you. Like we've said, only the first 100 players, so please be on standby when we bring out the code. Get the screenshot, hop on over to the website, reward.ff.garena.com. In 3, 2, 1, take the code and be happy.
Yeah, definitely be happy with what is being given by the generous Free Fire. And again, make sure that you have fast fingers, similar to what we've seen these players has. And I guess that's one thing that's common for survivors. You need to have those to win a lot. And it's not just the ranked games, but also on these codes, on the exclusive codes that we are being given out to the viewers out there who have been staying with us, especially from the first 2 maps.
Absolutely, man. I mean, and this is where we really test if or not you are tuning into the broadcast, right? Because right after the break, and if you leave and then you come back a little bit later, yeah, they're the ones who are snoozing on us, right? Once again, knockout rules, like I mentioned, today's the final day, the final opportunity in the knockout stage to qualify for the grand finals. That is next week. Only 12 teams get to go there. Every day of the knockout stage, each group gets to play 4 games. We just witnessed Group A and B play the first 2 matches, which means in the next 2 games, those will be the final 2 opportunity for Group A. And the teams that are in Group A who are close towards the bottom, you're looking at teams like 5 Stars, Real G, as well as Dark Hunters. And obviously, 5 Stars have shown us a little bit of quality, but not like what Real G brought out there, right? 15 points is huge for a team that was lurking down at the bottom for quite long. But of course, you've got your dominators at the top as well. T-Rex bagging a back-to-back booyah here for the opener, Neptune.
Yeah, definitely. And CDG as well, still part of Group A. So they will still be playing for the next 2 maps, though. But despite of them being taken out early and being brought in to the second spot, there's still a chance for them to secure their spot. But I'm not saying that they can be brought down easily. The focus more is from the 10th or probably 9th down at the bottom. So again, Real G, Dark Hunters, 5 Stars, they need do so much work, because later on in the final 2 maps of the day, that's where they will be waiting and praying, making sure that they are not taking out the spot.
Yeah, Group B will be taking a little bit of a break first. They will catch up with us in the final 2 games at Nexterra as well as Kalahari. And the team that is going to be very nervous, but of course may stand an opportunity to find the qualifier, is Team Phantom, because they are the team in Group B who's closest towards the bottom. Actually, in fact, they are actually at the bottom 6. So they are in danger zone, but at least they will be able to know who they need to overtake and exactly how many points they need more than the teams that are struggling in Group A. But of course, as I say that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are set to head on into Purgatory, one of the bigger maps out there. In fact, we've got 2 big maps coming on back-to-back, right? Purgatory as well as Alpine. So a lot of time for those rotations, a lot of room to avoid engagements as well. And that's what we want to see. We want to see some safe plays for these teams who are struggling to find points, Neptune.
Exactly. I mean, there's one thing that they need to prepare of. So it might take a few before we get to that. But again, focus more on how Group A is going to make up for all those points. Because again, for some of the teams, there's a lot of struggle overall. And thank you, production, for giving us the overall stats. So as mentioned, it is 5 Stars right now, currently sitting at the 11th spot. That is very close to relegation, so they need to hustle it up. Now, it's tough though, because so far 5 Stars has been going into tough engagement. Not quite sure what happened to them compared to how we saw them in group stage. Probably it's because of the introduction of a T-Rex, and the same goes for Motion Gang. Motion Gang is part of Group C, but this is the first match of the day, so there's still a lot more of improvement that can be done for this team compared to 5 Stars.
And of course, at the end of the day, we've also got to acknowledge the fact that this is a tournament. This is a tournament where pro players are out there, and, you know, not all of us are immune to being nervous. Not all of us are immune to, you know, kind of feeling our nerves on the very edge. And I would just chuck this towards that, right? 5 Stars are a really good squad, but no matter how good you are, when it comes to D-Day, when you know that you have only got 4 opportunities and you got to make it count, those are the times where you're going to find a lot of those mistakes being shown up. You got to also figure out exactly how your chemistry is out there on the battlefield. Sometimes when those mistakes are made, a little bit of infighting. I'm not saying that's the case, but these are all the risks involved in pro plays on a tournament like this. And teams that can overcome situations like that are the teams who are going to be dominating out there. And we've seen how much just a little bit of confidence can do for a squad, right? Look at where Abandonados are right now, Neptune.
Yeah.
They literally miss. They are a team that has got one game less, all right, in terms of qualifying. And Abandonados are not just struggling to survive. They have risen up to the top, and they are currently in the 5th spot overall on the league board. I don't even know how Abandonados did this.
Well, I would say, as we often say in the last day of broadcasts, and it's not just the knockout stage, but even the grand finals, the moment that they think, that they put themselves in the mindset that this is the last game, it's either put everything out or just enjoy the game. Just enjoy how they play it, because pretty much how they got here and away from the group stage into the knockout stage is because they have that mechanical skills. They have the tactics already. And all those stress, all those worries are just throwing those away out of the window. So hopefully they put it away, just enjoy the game, and then that's where you'll have a clearer mind to go back to the basics.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something that we didn't really highlight a lot because I was wondering how are the players going to cope with this situation. With a recent nerf onto Tatsuya, I still see a lot of Tatsuyas out there. And I've got my questions, man, because we were all not really ridiculing, but we were talking about how Oscar is not very viable because he only has got one of those Valiant dashes, right? And once you get in, you can't get out of that engagement. You got to take a fight. So that makes Oscar a very risky character to use unless, of course, you're like super strong. You've got the M590 in your hand. You are confident you're going to be able to get the knocks, and you've got like someone like Player JK or Laligaru backing you up with the snipes from the back. And we were talking about how Tatsuya is so viable because he's got 2 dashes, right? His Rebel Rush gets 2 pumps. You rush in, you see some trouble, you say, all right, hasta la vista, guys, I'm out of here. You get to save yourself. But now you've only got 1 Rebel Rush in there. You get to refresh it if you get a knock. I've not seen any refreshes so far.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to mechanical skills. How can you nail that shot the moment that you use that Rebel Rush? And again, the funny side is, instead of like seeing no offense though, this is a nerf on Tatsuya, definitely.
Yeah.
But instead of putting that into Oscar, Oscar seems like a viable viable active skill to be used right now, because not only are you going to rush, you can smash through those glue walls, 3 glue walls, and then knock back your opponent to make sure that you get that elimination. Compared to the Tatsuya right now, if you have a glue wall, you'll be stopped, and there's no getting away.
Yeah, I mean, let's just put it in plain facts. Tatsuya was a little overpowered, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was a broken active skill that was abused non-stop by so many players. Before we brought in the, active skill, the unique active skill rule, where every single player needs to have a unique active skill out there, we just saw 4 Tatsuyas. This was the time where you could hit that Rebel Rush 3 times in a row. Yeah, everybody was zooming all around the battlefield. It was so chaotic. And at that point of the meta, we also had those the portal ghosts, right?
Right.
To be able to beam you across the battlefield. It was bringing in so much of chaos. Of course, it had its own beauty with the fast pace, but we were seeing for a fact that not many of the other active skills were being focused upon. Not many of the other active skills were the first picks out there. But speaking of first picks, we get to see for the first time in today a little bit of participation, a little bit of action from Group C. We welcome teams like Motion Gang, Don Chui, X-Will, Rosario Central, Tonio, as well as TFE Sports. And out of these teams, who are we going to be kind of hyper-focusing on is going to be actually 4 teams, right? Because TFE Sports is part of this list as well, because they're currently on that 12th spot. Don Chui, Motion Gang, as well as Tonio. They're currently in the bottom 6, Neptune. They need some points for themselves.
Exactly. A lot of points right now to be taken, especially for Motion Gang, currently in the 18th spot. But looking at the numbers, though, they only need 12 points to be able, or 13 points to be able to beat TF Esports. But you really couldn't tell if those teams will not be making any points as well. So double the effort, maximum effort, I would say. Maximum effort from the beginning up until the end of your matches. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, I mean, max effort, of course, from Group C, but we also have to acknowledge the fact that Group C has got 4 games unplayed. So they play 2 now, and they get 2 more later. The team that's got a little bit of fire under their butts is Group A. And the teams from Group A that desperately need these points to play the survival, because they need not just points to get into the top 12, they need enough points to sustain when they don't play the final 2 games, right?
Yeah.
And you're looking at teams like Rail G, Dark Hunters, 5 stars. If these 3 teams do not get the booyah of the top 3 finishes with massive numbers of eliminations, I think it's safe to say they're about to be eliminated from the competition and not given a chance at the grand finals. But of course, the bigger question is going to be, what does Purgatory hold for us? Where is that high tier loot zone? What's the flight path going to be like, Neb?
Yeah, let's see if neither heaven nor hell will save them at this point, because a lot of teams really need some saving. As we go into flight path, it is skewed once again, and as a caster, as a one viewing early engagement and enjoying it, this is something that we dreamed of almost every day. We jump into the desk, and it seems like a lot of teams will be going in for hot engagement overall, unless they decide to drop in late and just get away from it all.
I love what Motion Gang is doing, going in straight towards Crossroads, and they know that based on the flight path, they cannot get to Crossroads, so they drop in very close to the zip line. But I need to see them take that zip line and get to Crossroads ASAP, because CDG is right behind them, and CDG will eat you alive if you make a mistake. And speaking of eat you alive, here comes T-Rex in here for the drop as well. Very close to Team Smoke. You've got 5 stars. You've got Dark Hunters. Oh, crap. Brasilia is crowded.
Well, Brasilia right now, well, it's not just talking about Familia. At this point, it's talking about Achaeas as well. 5 stars, a team that needs it a lot, is in trouble. Same goes for Dark Hunter. So, not quite sure how they want to get out of this, but if they want to, they have to do it fast. Otherwise, they will be in trouble. But T-Rex, I think they've split up already, so they don't want to deal with this chaos early in the game as well.
I cannot believe 5 stars actually decided to take a Brasilia drop, because this is the last thing they need, right? Heavy engagements early on is not what I would have been looking for when you're so close to the bottom 6. But of course, T-Rex losing a couple of players here, of all teams, to TF. So TF Esports, let's see if or not they can continue to wreck RG, fighting Rosario Central players as well. No full squad elimination just yet, but it looks like the teams that are desperately in search for points are fighting something decent out there at the start on Purgatory.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if there's one team that you want to take out early, that's one, Rosario Central. And let's see if the players, though, will be revived as quickly as possible. N2 as well as Palmer getting into a vehicle, and Kane pulling out the monster truck. A split up, and Kane being shot at. So there's no getaway for Kane right now. No Abel to help him out as well. But X-World with 2 eliminations already. Real G with 1, and TF Esports with 1. And this is what we love seeing. Those in the mid as well as bottom doing so much early in game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Real G playing it safe, not really going in for the super hunt, but they know that they've got a huge advantage up against Kane. And 18 Duck again with the M249 in hand. This man, he's the sniper of the squad with an LMG in hand.
Speaking of sniper with a different weapon, we are seeing King back with the plasma gun. And we've seen how much damage he brought in with that plasma gun. The fire rate, the damage overall is just quite perfect for his game style. But for the rest of the teams right now, well, they need to make sure that they have that perfect, the perfect mix of gun, of weapon, as well as active skill. Just make sure that they can win this game. Zeus from
Wow.
5-star taking down Crazy at 16, 17, 18 with an SKS. Not even spotted. The tree is blocking his side, and everyone in smoke being smoked out.
And Kenny, plasma gun action once again, baby. 5 stars. Getting the 5 stars action here. Dropping player after player on the side of smoke. And it looks like Crazy might not be able to be saved here by Max Loco as the rest of the players on the side of 5 stars swoop on in for the finisher. Pickup is possible. Yoki is back up on his feet. Crazy does not get saved. All thanks to the plasma gun finisher from Kenny. Yokis the final one here with the Woodpecker in hand. John B down. Yokis 5-star performance up against the 5-star players themselves. But M590 fails. Yokis with the Drogon. That's the surprise 5 stars was not expecting.
Oh, 5 stars right now. They had advantage. They are wrecking it at this point. But Kenny will be picked up quite quick. So they still have 3 players right now. And 16, 17, 18 will be taken out. Now, for the other side, X-World will be reviving one of their teammates. And from the looks of it, T-Rex has revived 2 of their players as well. So they're just sitting back right now. Ski Lodge hibernating at this point in the cold winter of a Ski Lodge. And later on, once they're thawed out, they will be on fire.
Now, you see a hibernating dinosaur. I see a hungry dinosaur. When it's cold, I get hungry. I'm damn sure the dinosaurs feel the same way as well. 2 players, like you said, revive Darius as well as Bolakarn. Darius is not the heaviest hitter of the squad, so, sometimes I don't really miss him. But of course, that being said, I want to see more out of him because in order to really dominate the grand finals, T-Rex needs to have that full-on activation. 18 Duck understanding the danger, hopping on away. But Rosario Central is back in action, baby. Josue, final player. 18 Duck behind the boulder, trying to keep this on his side. 13 more HP. Josue managing to get away, but that's just for a few seconds as Escolta picks up a triple as they shut down the squad of Real G.
The threat coming in from Group C, Escolta from Rosario Central. And Real G, well, they're not going in as a G for Gangster. They're going in for G for Go. And going back to the lobby a little bit too early once again. And it's tough. It's tough for Real G at this point. Now, for Tonyo and Mario or X-World Mario, a chase is happening right now, but they are being reeled in, pulled in against CDG. Not quite sure if Tonyo will still go for the push.
Yeah, man. Let's see if Antonio can sustain this because they're going in for the hunt onto X-World, but CDG on the way, and this is about to be disaster spelled out in the worst way possible for Team Tonyo. They desperately need these points. They cannot fall to CDG, but I don't think they're going to have much of a choice here because they went hunting for 1 point and they are about to lose the capability to pick up any further points.
Yeah, let's see. Freestyle will be taken down. Cord in hand of talent. And that is
GG.
tough, though. If you have a cord on a sniper, you will be going down quite faster. And that is what Tonyo is. What's happening to Tonyo right now? Well, Hueput is now on stuck into one of their vans. And Lopez unable to move as well. And Tonyo will be out of tune right now.
Bye-bye. Lopez with the escape opportunity here. And CDG, yeah, that's the finisher that they're looking for. And Mao 7 P90 looking for Elput as well. We'll find him. And squad down in the drain. Tonyo, unfortunate. We did mention they've got 4 opportunities. Now they just left with 3. Once again, looking for 1 point and being quickly dismembered, and they can find no further points here on this Purgatory map.
Well, speaking of points, Motion Gang, a team that's in need of points, Yokas has been taken down by Savior. 16, 17, 18 will need to deal with a full squad right now as trying to hide out. But will he be not spotted at this point because backup is on its way for with the name of Mex Loco, but I don't think he will be going Loco at this point. They're in a very tough spot, disadvantages, I would say, and like 16, 17, 18 is the only guy who's bold enough to go against 4.
Yeah, man. Beautiful shot by Zenitsu, AK-47 in hand. 16, 17, 18. Yes, he's brave enough to go in for that engagement, but he shouldn't have. Didn't have much of a choice, though. A little bit too far away from the rest of his team members. Had to take a fight, play his luck, and obviously his luck was really low at that point of time. Max Loco all alone on the right-hand side. Team Smoke has managed to split up here, not by choice, because they had to play the revival earlier on. MTG, the team that is currently dead last, 18 out of 18, just like Rail G was earlier on in the day. So we know it is a possibility here to jump up into the top 12, but we need to see them in that final circle with at least 10 eliminations.
Yeah, exactly. And CDG right now already with 6 elimination. And as we can see, RC, Rosario Central, making sure that their opponents will be playing and praying with that Rosary as well as Dark Hunters. A team that in need of points currently in 17 is being gunned down, stuck in one compound, but it's good enough that they have a second level so that no one will rush them that quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is an opportunity for Rosario Central to just continuously pick up more points. And Dark Hunters, remember we highlighted them earlier on as one of the tortured souls who are in the bottom 6. Holy Lord! Escolta! Headshot out of nowhere on the zip line. Hockey down on the ground. Escolta once more. But will be distracted by a few extra points that they can claim off of Dark Hunters here inside the compound. Palmer makes that one mistake, but Kane is there for the save. M79 in play. Grenade launcher shuts down the Dark Hunters.
Well, when we thought that that would be an advantage for Dark Hunters because they are missing out on one players for Rosario Central, unfortunately that M79 grenade launcher just hit them hard and eliminated 2 of their players instantaneously. Now, as you can see, the shift of the next phase of the circle, it's only 5 stars or FBS who is in there and T-Rex very near. So we won't be expecting so much of elimination coming from T-Rex at this moment because of how far they are from the rest of the teams. But let's see if this is one thing that the TF Esports as well as Motion Gang can work with as they go against each other.
What can TF pull off here? Currently sitting in the 12th spot in Group C. They've got 4 opportunities to pick up points, and they are off to a great start. Motion Gang right in front of them. Motion Gang struggling. So this will be a good engagement for them. And this is one of the items that we so rarely see in North America. The freaking jump pad. I have no idea why more teams are not purchasing the jump pad because we've seen them rotate time and time again and get snuffed out. And the jump pad is not that expensive now.
Right, definitely. I mean, it's just how you use it. If you're going to use it, make sure it is in, I would say, tangent or perpendicular to where your opponents are. Otherwise, if you're just heading straight to them, easy snipes on you. It's like you're being a duck shot up from the sky.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, if you're not playing those jump pads, then you're probably playing the game wrong overall. And we've seen many teams kind of struggle with those rotations. And hopefully we see a little bit more of that in the grand finals. TF Esports, though, outside the circle. Kiki, out of nowhere with the car, will be able to get that knock. But Eric instantaneously picked right back up. And 5 stars up against TF Esports. There's going to be a little bit of a dragged out fight. Smoke and Motion Gang on the way into the circle as well. So it's just about time before they interfere in this fight as well.
Let's see now if they can interfere. The clue has been triggered and shots onto Motion Gang as well as TF Esports. Now, let's see if anyone can survive this onslaught because the shift of the circle will be heading into Rosario Central and all those chaos might end a little bit quicker because of the blue.
Yeah, absolutely. And Eric down on the ground once again, but 5 stars, instant recovery time and time again. And as anticipated, the interference by Motion Gang in full motion now as Smoke and Smoke in 7th. Motion Gang not doing great. Roberto picked right back up. MP40 in his hands. TF Esports on the 12th spot loses the first out of 4 opportunities. But 5 stars try to make the best out of their opportunity up against Motion Gang. But all they do is gatekeep inside the circle. Dirty plays by 5 stars. But do what it takes, my friend, to pick up those points.
If it works, it works. And for 5 stars right now, it is working. Motion Gang currently at the bottom of the leaderboard will stay in there if in case they don't get away from 5 stars. Zenitsu will be taken down, and it is just the hurt of the blue right now from the first phase of the circle. Savior will be next, and Motion Gang dead in their motion.
Oh, dude, 5 stars. They didn't manage to get the points, but they managed to eliminate a team that could have definitely put up a good fight to pull away their spot from the top 12. Bulacan down on the ground. Sorry, Bulacan gets the elimination, and Rosario Central not really doing well in this fight because T-Rex is still in here, not to play, but to dominate. 2 eliminations, though. Doesn't look like much domination, but in the top 5, they are. And they are picking up those solid points. Escolta down on the ground as well. And looks like that's the end of Rosario Central.
Yeah, I mean, T-Rex right now, only 3 eliminations because they managed to pull away from a lot of teams, staying in the edge, but there's still a lot of opportunities right now. But we only have 4 teams remaining at this point, so if T-Rex would want to continue on and grabbing a lot of elimination, they can do so with the remaining teams, but I think the goal for T-Rex right now is just to grab that booyah. Yeah. And the contender would be 5 stars, but 5 stars looks like they are in a good spot right now to fight back, but Eric, Zeus being knocked down right here. If not pick up, they still have damage to their armors.
5 stars only has 2 more opportunities, and this is a damn good use of that opportunity. What a play by them thus far. But T-Rex looking for the back-to-back booyah. Triple booyah for the time being. They are the record holders for the quadra booyah. So let's see if they can get this done. Pelting the team of 5 stars. Grenade after grenade. Flanking from the right-hand side as well. But they got to be careful with the blue zone, though. And 5 stars managing to work their way around CDG with one final player on the opposite side of the map here, trying to stay as silent as possible. But little by little, 5 stars rotating straight directly towards him. Bolacan shot halfway through. Big play by Zeus.
Zeus got a thunder at this point. Bring the thunder and the rain of fire. Rex right now slowly going down and almost losing out on the opportunity for another booyah. Darius right here with only a few HP. The blue coming in and also a backstab. And there goes T-Rex extinct for the moment. CDG still alive and kicking, but not for long. Hockey hiding out, and Eric mini Uzi in hand will try finishing off, but outside the blue he goes, and 5 star gets 5 star with a booyah.
5 stars, no longer 3 stars on the gameplay, but a booyah to make sure their final 2 opportunities are used really, really well. We talked about how you need to get to the final circle. You need a minimum of 10 eliminations. These boys push the boundaries, whooping more than 10 eliminations, and also rocking the booyah to guarantee themselves a spot in the grand finals next week. This is how you make good use of that opportunity then.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they are using it right here. When we thought that we've lost them, especially on how awful they played from yesterday, now they are bringing it on. And I guess, I'm not quite sure if it's a challenge that has been brought in or they just realized that they need to study their opponents first so that they can rock it the next day of the knockout stage. So this is one thing that some teams has been doing so much, but we are going to look at the replays to get a preview of what happened so far in this game.
It was 5 stars starting, and it was 5 stars ending this game. Phenomenally done. And initially with the engagement onto Team Smoke, you saw that they were not holding back at all, right? Very aggressive plays by 5 stars. And this is what we want to see from teams that are very capable, going out there and claiming exactly what is theirs. But not a lot of mistakes in their rotation as well, which we got to respect out of 5 stars. Rosario Central, on the other hand, I'm a little bit surprised with the performance because now this is just going to push them up just a little bit. They are performing decently well, but just not as deadly as we expected them to. As long as, you know, I think the main priority for them is getting into the grand finals. They are not too fussed about, you know, hitting back-to-back-to-back booyahs and flexing it on everyone like the dinosaurs.
Exactly. I mean, there are some highlights coming from Escolta, from Rosario Central, but for the rest of the teams, there's still a lot more that needs to work at this point. So if their plan is to just get into Final Four, they are slowly getting there. They are doing it at this point, maintaining their spot. And again, no pressure. No need, if you're on the top 4, top 5, no need to show all your tactics. All you have to do is just stay afloat and then bring it on onto the grand finals.
And, you know, this is amazing plays and rotation coming through from 5 stars as well, right? Pelted by all of these grenades, their response, you know, don't fuss about it, man. Just pull up a good glue wall, bounce those grenades right back. off, not be, not absorb too much of that damage, and then rotate in towards the center of the circle. And the MVP, the one and only Into, 6 eliminations, 2 assists, 2,675 on the damage with the Oscar. This is the rare occasion. The passive skills have got me in knots today. With the M590, we saw the magic that Into made work here, and a truly well-deserving MVP. But the surprising thing is, it's not even from the Booyah squad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one thing that I would give props to the players as well as production, because we're highlighting players who did so well and still putting them on the board. But head-to-head right now, again, 5 stars, the one who grabbed the Booyah, compared to Zeus, compared to Into, still, that's a reason why he is that MVP, because he still scored so much, or not so much, but a little bit much than Zeus right now. But in terms of damage, though, we've seen Zeus and 5-star put it up all throughout from start to finish. They might have been losing some engagement, and it worries me in the final moment because the blue was closing in. 5-star was stuck, pressured by T-Rex, but the timing was so precise for 5 stars to get back against T-Rex.
And 5 stars, once again, is on to their final game right after this. So they need to make best use of their opportunities here, because in the final 2 matches of the day, they'll have no say. All they can do is just sit and wait and probably cry if there's an upsurge of performance from the teams at the bottom 6. But for the time being, looking at the fact that they've managed to grab a Booyah for themselves, it's going to be very difficult to replace their spot in the top 12. The total eliminations on this Purgatory map, 53, not on the higher side. 14 eliminations from the side of 5 stars, though, is truly 5 stars in terms of performance based on how they've been playing recently.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we might be saying so much of 5 stars right now. It's because they did so well. And that's what we look for a team. A team that really performs well, you hear so much of that team from us. You hear the team name, you hear the player name. And with this Booyah overall, how they got back up after being pushed down the bottom 12, that is what we want to see. Thus, the 26 points really made a lot, and later on, we will see how well it brought them up on leaderboard. Rosario Central, though, still on 18th, or second place at 18th spot. T-Rex, because of the less elimination that they have right now, and then losing out against 5-star, only on 4th. So, missed opportunity on another Booyah, but they're still number 1.
Yeah, but also we have to remember that Dark Hunters and Real G are literally on their final opportunity now to qualify into the grand finals. And RG has just once again been relegated to the bottom 6. 7 points behind On Style. On Style is currently not playing. They're taking a break, but they will be back for 2 more games right after this. So RG needs to make some sort of a miracle happen for themselves alongside Dark Hunters if they want to stand a chance to play for money in the grand finals, or else we'll have to wave goodbye.
Yeah, one thing though, speaking of lost opportunities or missed opportunities, Don Chui, I believe they didn't join that lobby, so they only have 4 matches, and that's bringing them down a little bit lower, too low in leaderboard. So hopefully they don't give up. They go back into the next match, because they still have 3 matches, especially on those in Group C. But Real G being taken down a little bit too early this time around, still on the 13th spot, very close against On Style, and that's where the focus would be. The right side of the leaderboard. The left side, I think it's tough to really get across that if you're not doing so much more. So that's where we are eyeing in all those teams, the ones on the right side of the board, especially when we get close to the end of this day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And of course, with every single competition, there are going to be some winners, there are going to be some losers. In the grand scheme of things, the teams who are in the bottom 6 are definitely going to lose out on quite a little bit, because they've played all the way up until now. But fingers crossed they don't give up, because it's all about improving season after season. But of course, on that note, we have got yet another giveaway for all of you patient viewers who have been waiting all this while. Like Neptune has mentioned time and time again, make sure you've got the website on standby, reward.ff.garena.com. In 3, 2, 1, enjoy your redemption.
Yeah, I mean, it's too long for me to shout out, to spell out. So hopefully you are just taking screenshot and fast enough to type it in. Most of the time, I tried my best to spell it out so that those watching can just type it out on their own. But again, so much more excitement, not only on the games, but also in the viewership, also on the rewards that viewers, the survivors out there are getting. So hopefully you stick with us up until the end because a lot more will be happening, a lot more learnings, a lot more rewards, and a lot more booyahs will be coming in because we are set to go in, as you did mention, another big map, which is Alpine. And this is one thing that I'm looking forward to because for Tonyo, who is currently in 14th, when we look at the numbers stacking up together on Group A and C, this is where they really pop off. So let's see if this is really their map this time around.
Yeah, I actually agree. Tonyo does manage to do very well here in terms of the rotations, finding that final circle. You know, decent number of placement points on themselves. They've got some good eliminations here as well. But Tonyo now is on their third. They've got 3 more opportunities, right? Including this one. So the risk is not very high here. For Real G as well as Dark Hunters, final opportunity, Neptune. And based on the list that we've got here, I don't think they are high performers on this map. In fact, Dark Hunters have only managed to claim a total of 5 points on Alpine. And when you look at a team like RG, you expect to see more, but unfortunately, I can't really find them on the list. 10 points, there you go, 10. Not so much as well.
It's tough though. If you're a team that can be found on the list, it means you're not performing that well. So let's see now if this is something that Real G can work on because they're very close on 13th spot from the overall leaderboard, and they need to do so much more. A booyah would definitely help them increase that and not worry later on onto the last 2 matches. But before we go everywhere else, let's take a look at where the teams are dropping in. Doc would be the option for Motion Gang. 5-star going in to Stadium. So I love the drop. There's no early engagement, more chances for them to survive a little bit longer.
Very interesting. Nobody wants to go to Rivermouth. That is insane. Solid.
They don't have abandonados.
Exactly right. Obviously, abandonados will be hopping back in here a little bit later on from Group B. I kind of miss them already.
Especially how they worked it out earlier. A lot of a good turnaround for abandonados. And again, why we look into teams, it's not because they're performing or they're well known. They made themselves well known because of how they perform. That's the best way that we're seeing it. So even in the previous match, we don't shout so hard for T-Rex because they didn't get so much of elimination, not so much of engagement. So I guess this time around, after losing out on a booyah at this point from the previous map, they want to take it back.
It's unfortunate that we can't shout for Don Chui because these boys have missed out on both of their games so far. They've got 2 more opportunities later, but fat chance on getting those points because they're dead last right now. And I don't know what kind of a miracle they can pull even if they do show up later on. So that's a tad bit surprising, but it's all right. That's exactly how the cookie crumbles. Sometimes teams give up a little bit too early. And I think that's when a team really, really fails, right? So I'm not so sure exactly why they didn't make it to the lobby, but I would have loved to see them at least try and then fail instead of not show up.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of storylines can be built up, especially once it comes to the next season of EVA USC. But let's see, though. Rosario Central, the team that is, well, I guess doing quite well, but not so much. Going against CDG, who's currently in the 2nd place. Let's see and how they're going to fight it out. But CDG right now on the lower ground, not so much of an advantage for them, but they still have chance for more loots.
Yeah, CDG is actually one of our top squads in the knockout stages here. 126 points in total, 22 points behind T-Rex. Currently sitting in Group A. This is their final opportunity for some points, as opposed to Rosario Central, who are from Group C. So they need to make good work of this. And if they don't win out against Rosario Central, if they get eliminated, Obviously, it's not going to be of detriment at all. They are in the top 12. There's no way in hell anybody takes them out of the top 12 list. It just doesn't make sense. So they can just literally stop shooting right now and they'll still be fine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's something in the rule book that goes against that. But yeah, I mean, they still will fight. They still will try their best. But looking at it, Rosario Central is winning that gunfight. Only talent, one of the best talent for CDG, will be left and flying away into the hands of Tonyo Lopez on the right-hand side and the rest of the teams on the left. Quick switch, and there goes the takedown. CDG, as much as we want to hype them, they will be taken out on 11.
But they still qualify to the grand final, so we'll get to see more of CDG for sure. Tonyo, on the other hand, this is the bigger challenge. Up against one player from CDG, they managed to take away the point, but up against a full squad of dinosaurs, can they rip their lives away? Answer is no from Darius. XM8 to the head, but Joe put beautiful recovery here as they do manage to trade out one player on the opposite side. But Lopez needs to be picked up here. Darius, a sliver of health left. Eliopard and the freaking Thompson to the chest. Darius taken down. Bolakan and player JK, they are now left with a 2v2 because Russo just got revived and he's going to be too far away from this engagement. Freestyle hightails it out of there. And it looks like T-Rex is going to allow the squad to breathe a little bit for recovery because they want to focus on their own looting progress.
I love the consistency communication with player JK. I mean, Riptide Rhythm and then the communication to rush in because of the knockdown that's about to happen. But for TF Esports right now, Smoke is being cleared out. But only 2 players, though. They have the high ground advantage as well as a good weaponry. And Smoke seems like they're out of fire. They're out of gas. And only one player remaining, Uelkis, that is running away, though. But what would be the decision for TF Esports? Revive their teammate or go in for the fight and eliminate Smoke?
And you know, man, no fire, no smoke. So if they're running out of fire, it's going to be a problem for Team Smoke overall. Yolkis desperately trying to get away to bring his team members back in here. He's got 800 coins, so he can hit that revive on the vending machine. Picks up another 200 for himself. So nothing much to worry about for the squad for the time being. He will be able to purchase an insurance policy here for himself and probably make it outside of the circle to pull, a few more coins into his pocket for that final revival. But we're not going to be too concerned with Team Smoke for the time being because just like, teams like CDG, they've pretty much secured their spot in the grand finals.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, very high on the leaderboard right now compared to Tonyo, who needs to do a little bit more work to cross over to the top 12. But they are faced against the high elimination or the top eliminators at this point, Rosario Central. So they're like telling tales going out onto the battlefield, but they might be meeting up against T-Rex in a bit. Dark Hunters, quick recovery for 3 of their players, and I guess they still will survive.
How are they going to survive this one as Dark Hunters on the revival just falling right outside of Snowfall. T-Rex on the other hand finding a couple of players from the side of Tonyo. Freestyle. Trying to high tall, my lord, jumped at the wrong time, got shot straight in the face. Unfortunate that he came across the one and only Bolakan. 1,600 coins in his pocket, and he's looking for more coins out there so that they can soup themselves up. You can see those level 3 helmets and vests. In fact, Play JK has got a level 4 on himself. And this is what we want, right? As the sniper of the squad, he's got the VSK as well, one of the better snipers out there in the current meta. And Team T-Rex is geared for yet another booyah for themselves, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And I love T-Rex right now using going in for the meta, especially with that Cassie. It has been buffed overall, so distance, the range that you have from 30 meters to 50 meters, and then the breakage can still or has been extended to 70. So even if your teammate is quite far, especially Ruzo X, the support of the team, you still have that basic therapy connected to you.
A great play on the defense here. Another Riptide Rhythm from Ascolta, but the guy does not have HP on him. I don't know why he's taking this risk. Kind of tanking the blue as well as he takes those sniper shots. He's to focus on the recovery, and he does that in the nick of time. But look at this flank, though. I think this is going to be very deadly. Player JK kind of flanking around, looking for Ascolta's back. Finds Kane. First shot in there. Headshot. he's just tagging up player after player, but not getting those knocks just yet. Very cheeky. Escolta will be spotted. Escolta trying to protect the rest of his team members, but player JK is still going to be absolutely dangerous from up top on this roof.
Definitely, I mean, great usage of Launchpad just to make sure that he have a good vantage point. And Bulacan right now rushing in. Irvin out. And Escolta out as well. It's now left to two players. Make that no players. Rosario Central being eliminated on 10.
I mean, T-Rex just way too good. And player JK with the reposition on the jump pad. So deadly, man. And with the VSK in hand, you know, not a lot of shots. You just need two to connect perfectly. If you take that headshot, instant drop on the player. Rosario Central, I thought they got lucky there because no headshots came through. But with the positioning of player JK and Bolakan's M590, like you mentioned, they are playing the meta to the T. And when you do that, you're probably going to be high up on the list of players.
Let's see, though, on how high the rest of the teams will be doing right now. Smoke, who was almost taken down earlier, managed to get back with Mex Loco as well, 16, 17, 18. But T-Rex on a roll, heading into Perverse of Dark Hunters as well as El Salvador. But this is not what Dark Hunters need to work with at this point. They need to survive edge of a circle. They need to, I would say, cross the map a little bit faster because less players are going in onto the other side of that circle shift. So if you want to go for survivability, make your way there. In the middle, yes, it's risky, but that's the faster way that you can do it.
El Salvador better have some sort of a salvation backup here because here comes T-Rex about to rip a hole in his heart. X-World could be the distraction, but you see player JK still in the vehicle. And the players of T-Rex just kind of taking different positions out there on the battlefield. And Swerve with the wrong move. Mario gets tagged up by player JK. You see the electrotherapy connected once again. And that will allow Russo X to push on forward. Yet another player dropped by the side of T-Rex. And Bolacan will strike once again. M590 perfection from this guy. And the movements are insane.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we are seeing a top movements, a top elimination coming from this team. But as we look into the next phase of the circle, it will be chaotic on the right side. But also the same goes for where T-Rex is. Because they will be dealing with X-World as well as Dark Hunters. But Perverse, I don't think he will be surviving. And if he's the last player, they will be out of this game on 9th. And there you have it. X-World will be the next target, the next prey for the predators of T-Rex. But Real G, survivability overall, despite of losing 18 Duck, I guess this can work for them and they can deal with Smoke. But no, they decided to go against TF Esports first. So that would be means trouble if they will be stuck between these two teams.
And with that elimination on Dark Hunters, that brings their run in the competition to an unfortunate end. They will not be moving on to the grand finals as this is their final game, final opportunity to pick up points. Real G might just be the next victims here as 18 Duck gets brought back into the mix. Smoke going up against them. Orion, Josue, beautiful save. And the Mag 7, he's got the Wukong as well as the active skill card. Just playing the zone here and will be able to just patch himself up real quick. And the Wukong helping him avoid a couple of shots from the side of TF Esports. But he needs to be careful, though, because Team Smoke might just be looking for revenge.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is one thing that they need to look out for. Get away real quick, find a good spot. But not so much of compound is available right now, especially with how close everyone is in the next phase of the circle. There's also River in between that next phase, so it is tough to get good position. If in case you're on the other side of the bank, you might be at a loss in terms of position. But Raz and X will be out, and Motion Gang grabbing the point. As you can see, the binoculars being used, spotting out, was that 8 players right here? And that is from 5 stars as well as Motion Gang, who's still in a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And John B with the Woodpecker in hand, looking for some. But T-Rex up on top of the hill. And when you see a dinosaur on the hill running straight at you, I don't know how you can just hold your ground and bravely take those shots up against them. But of course, granted, we've got the elimination feed switched off here, so they don't know who they engage with. And the jump pad rotation coming through from T-Rex. Now, that's what I'm talking about. That's the real meta play there. You've got to spend your money right. You've got to get those jump pads for the reposition. You look at how easily T-Rex gets into the circle, whereas these other teams are still struggling up against each other to find the next zone.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, efficiency is having more work done with less effort, and that is what T-Rex is doing right now. For Smoke, they're struggling so much already, but still going into a losing fight. But Crazy going in crazy 180, and Eric will be the next target. Duck will be the next target, and will about to be taken down. So I think Smoke will be in a good spot right now to get the next phase of the circle, but Real G will still be waiting on this gas station.
X will out of the equation already. They are sitting in Group C, which means they do have 2 more opportunities later on. They are currently in the top 12, but they cannot be too confident with their position because they're still quite close towards the bottom. A phenomenal performance by Tonio or Motion Gang within these final games could make a huge difference. Tonio's still alive alongside Motion Gang as well. And speaking of Motion Gang, here they are, right under the bridge like a troll, looking to shut down Team 5 Stars.
Well, let's see, that's Zenitsu right now. The blue plus 5 stars going in, putting the damage, and they're going down. I think Motion Gang will be on a spree of not taking and making it on the top 3. But 4-5 stars right now, full squad, and still hitting it up. This time against Real G, a team, another team who's eyeing for the top 12 that might not be able to make it.
Yeah, Real G is currently in the 13th spot. They need 7 points in order to be able to jump into the top 12, and they only have Josue left on their side. Smoked in the set spot. Kenny on for the jump. Question is, can he find something here for himself? Josue desperately hanging on, but he has to be careful because the circle is looking for him and the next zone is super crowded.
Oh, definitely it is crowded, and still have 5 teams remaining at this point. Now, Eric will be taken down, but a quick pickup will be done. Joshua will need to move fast because, yes, Woodpecker can bring in a few elimination, but you need to survive longer as well with high on the placement. But TF Esports, cheeky, trying to go into the river, into the water right now with TF Esports, and might be meeting up a few players later on, but Tonyo on the flank from behind. T-Rex will be their team that they're fighting against.
TF Esports currently on the 11th spot with 41 points. They need to be careful as well because, yes, they are in the top 12, but a couple of mistakes can put them in a grave little spot to be eliminated from the competition before we get into the grand finals. But thus far, they do survivability out there really well, and just hanging on for their dear lives as the circle now starts to move in the favor of Team Tonio.
Yeah, TF Esports will be the target, and they have been hitting it for the knockdowns in a bit. What? Joshua will be taken down at 5th. Valiant effort for them, but is that enough to keep them afloat? Because this is their last game. For 5 stars right now, 7 eliminations, still full squad, and still rocking it against T-Rex once again. A denial might be happening at this point. Only 1 remains, and there goes 5 stars grabbing that Team Whiteout against the Dinosaurs.
Again with the 5-star display of capability. And what we ask of Team Tonio, who are currently in the bottom 6, get to that final circle. Give us at least 10 eliminations. They say, okay, Mustacho, final circle it is, but it is the 5 stars with a back-to-back booyah.
This is what I'm talking about. 5 stars. They have been called out so many times, and they said, okay, chill, relax, we'll get there, and they are getting there. Now, let's see, though, because 2 booyahs and a decent amount of points, is this enough? Because still, a lot of teams are chasing for their squad, especially those coming from Group C. And 5 stars is at their last game right now with this booyah. So let's take a peek on the replay and see what happened right there as we discuss more of the gameplays.
I mean, it was a great performance by 5 stars back-to-back. And thus far, 4 booyahs taken, all of them from Group A. Thank God Group A is not playing in the next 2 matches because they've just been dominating out here today. You gotta love it. Of course, T-Rex didn't need it, but they just wanted the #1 spot for themselves, so good on them. They managed to achieve that. But 5 stars, you know, a lot of questions asked by us, and I think they've given us the answers we're looking for.
Exactly. I mean, they know how to play it. They know how to choose their battle, and they know how to grab those booyah. So they just had us worried a tad bit. Even the viewers out there, the fans out there, a little bit of worry, and that's I would say that's not bad because at least it gives that excitement into the gameplay. It gives that storyline as well on how 5-star can chill but still get back into play, especially if they need it. And they were hanging in there to balance, and now I think they're the fulcrum of that balance right now.
And of course, Rail G, unfortunately, could not put in enough hustle to get the kind of points that they truly require to maintain their top 12 run. In fact, they got pushed down a little bit. And I think Rail G has got real good potential, but they ramped up way too late, right? When their butts were under fire, they knew it was the final day, final few opportunities. Then they started bringing out that top tier performance from themselves, which wasn't enough, right? Because obviously, when it comes down to just few opportunities like these, you're not going to be the only team that gets nervous and starts putting out these best performances.
Yeah, exactly. And as we look into our MVP right now, it's Zeus. And, well, the god of lightning at this point will get that awesome 7 elimination. 2,579 on the damage, 4 assists, and 2 headshots. I'm pretty sure Tatsuya is what he used as an active skill. And the Dreki, the Dragon Flare Glare, really helped a lot, especially when spotting out or getting information in the opponent. But M590 in hand, the current meta, but it needs a lot of skills.
A lot of skill, and that's exactly what Zeus provided us in that fight, right? And I think it's good that you highlighted Reki as well, because in such a close compound with that M590, he's constantly trying to get close enough. And the moment that Reki spots out anyone, he's just straight away Rebel rushing in there to get that knock on for the reset of the Rebel Rush as well. Great plays from him overall. 76 eliminations though. We compare Zeus up against a sniper from T-Rex, Player JK. And obviously, Player JK's damage is going to be on a whole other level with that VSK.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially in how great his positioning is. He gets a lot of hits. As you did point out earlier against Rosario Central, all those shots makes it. No knockdowns, but it still puts in the damage. So it's damaging overall in terms of the opponent. But when we compare head-to-head, elimination is quite balanced. Damage, yes, it's on the T-Rex. Revives is also on them. So T-Rex... like 4th place, not so bad, but there's really no reason to worry at this point. Even for 5 stars right now, there's no more worries for 5 stars coming from Group A because they're safe, and it's just a battle of those at the bottom 12 as well as those from 13 to 18.
15 eliminations for 5 stars, back-to-back booyah. This is the kind of performance that we have been waiting for a while from Team 5 stars. They've only been giving us 3 stars level of performance, but I guess that's them not trying, which is absolutely fine, because when you try, if you can deliver, that's all what we want to see, because I'm pretty sure we are geared up for a damn good grand finals with the teams that we are stacking up here in the top 12. Everybody's finding their rhythm. Everybody's finding that confidence within themselves, and 5 stars managed to throw themselves right up to the top. But of course, T-Rex Gaming is not too far away. 5 points behind them in that 2nd spot.
I love how TFE Sports is working this time around, because from the previous map of Purgatory, they only grabbed 7 points, and this is addition 10 points for them. So they went in good on elimination, managed to grab a 3rd place, and this is one thing that some of the teams couldn't pull off. But for Tonyo, the way that they put themselves up on that leaderboard just to make sure that they still have more chance in the next 2 maps to secure that spot for the grand finals is quite well. Again, this is another team that missed out on some of those matches, or one of those matches, but still managing to keep themselves afloat. But for, as you mentioned, for Real G, that's done. And the same goes for Dark Hunters. So unfortunate that they couldn't cross over, but we do have to relegate a few teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, unfortunately, the relegation needs to happen because we only got 1 day for the grand finals next week. And we're going to be stacking these teams up against each other in back-to-back-to-back matches with the champion rush conditions switched on. So teams like RG, unfortunately, will say goodbye to all of us alongside the Dark Hunters. They are in Group A. They have no further chances to play for. The teams that are in Group B and C, teams like On Style, Team Phantom, Well, if Don Chui shows up, then we can see them. But unfortunately, they haven't showed up just yet. And even if they do show up, looking at the number of points, they need some massive games to stand a chance now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they need to take out a lot of teams and grab so much of a placement point to be able to do it in 2 games. It's not that it's impossible, but it's improbable, especially since like those on the 13th to the 18th, taking away those in Group A, is still clawing up for those points. So tough luck if they don't make it, but I guess it is what it is. They still have to make it work and fight for that spot.
I think the information we got was that Don Chui will be available for the final 2 matches. I want to see them, and I want to see them pull an Abandonados on us, right? Abandon not 1 but 2 games and still make it into the top 12. I think that'll be a very, very amazing story to tell. But of course, we're going to be taking a quick short break. When we come back, the final 2 games, Group A will not be playing. It's just going to be Group B going up against Group C.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. This is the Free Fire USA Championship 2025 FFUSC continues. Last two maps, last two chances, the last two groups in a race for the top 12 to make it to the grand finals. Who's going to make it? We'll have to find out. Now, it's pedal to the metal now, and all gas, no brakes, as we are back in the caster's desk. I am Neptune, the gentleman Garcia, with the Musashi AJ.
All gas, no breaks indeed, especially for groups B and C, and there are quite a number of teams from B and C in the bottom six. We are mainly looking at Team On Style, Team Phantom, Don Chui, as well as Motion Gang. What's surprising is Motion Gang, that did so well in the group stage, is not showing up here at the knockout stages. But just like Abandonnados, they can make one final good run here. 2 games should be enough as long as you're getting to the final circle, as well as hitting that booyah, maybe with a decent number of eliminations. But you know what? You guys can hit some good redemptions here. First 100 players will be able to claim this item, take your screenshot, and get it for yourself.
Yeah, there comes the code. Head over to reward.ff.garena.com to redeem the exclusive code and just log in with your pre-fire account as well as your code, and boom, you will get the exclusive reward. Only a few more chances to get that, because this is the last day for the knockout stage, and then the grand finals, that's where you got more. So hopefully you've stayed with us from the beginning up until the end, because I'm pretty sure this is not the last FFUSC that we're going to see, and this is just a preview of what is in store for USA.
Absolutely, man. And this preview, I'm absolutely in love with it. This is what we've got in terms of quality from teams after 3 years of a dry spell in the esports scene for Free Fire. I'm not complaining at all. We see a lot of quality. We see teams like T-Rex. We see teams like Rosario Central. Even though Rosario Central is not showing up very strong today, there's no need for them to do that, right? Because they are already in the top 12. And there's no extra bonus, no extra prizes if you get some sort of a great position in the top 12. It's just a flex that you've got. And Rosario Central, based on what we have seen, is not the kind of team that wants to flex all that too much. Escolta showed us one time what he can do, and it's like, you know, for VIPs like me, that one time is already more than enough. We'll show you what we've got in the grand finals, and I like that.
Exactly, and one thing that they're showing up right now is they are part of the top 5, but no booyahs. So it's just a performance that they have. But speaking of performance, this is how the team has performed: 2 back-to-back from T-Rex, and then 2 back-to-back from 5 stars. But one thing's for sure, they will not be taking the last 2 maps, because they will be taking a rest, and it's up to Group B and C right now. It's for them to just enjoy the game as well as enjoy the performance that they've done.
All-out domination by Group A thus far on the Booyah department. But for Nextera and Kalahari, like you mentioned, Neptune, it's all about Groups B and C, as Group A is chilling out. Unfortunate that we have to say goodbye to Rail G as well as Dark Hunters. I felt like, you know, I was really kind of looking forward to wave that Rail G flag, only because they've got a really cool name. But apart from the name, nothing was fancy about their gameplay. A tad bit disappointing, because I wanted to see a little bit more from them. But it is not disappointing in the department if they come back in here for the next season and show us that they've made a huge lot of improvement, right? Now, when we look at the storyline for teams like Motion Gang, Don Chui, you know, On Style, looking for the top 12, it doesn't mean that these are the only teams we want to qualify. We just want to see if or not they've got enough in the tank left to speed all the way to the finish line. Because at the end of the day, only 12 teams can survive. There has to be some teams that gets relegated, eliminated from the list, and, you know, whoever it is, it shall be it.
and here's one thing: if Don Chui can manage to grab at least 20 points, they will be taking over Real G right now. So there's still a chance for them. It's very, very close in bottom 6 of our leaderboard. And even if Don Chui didn't show up, hopefully they could have showed up for previous 2 maps. But if they show up this time around, just turn it around, similar to what we've seen other teams do, like 5 stars, I would say. 5 stars who has been demoted to 3 stars, even 1 star, and now they're back getting all those, more stars than the general, I would say. But they are in it to go into grand final. So let's see if Don Chui and the rest of the teams, like Team Phantom, On Style, Motion Gang, can they bring it on the final 2 maps of Nextera as well as Kalahari?
Final 2 games, and they don't have to outperform any teams from Group A. because it matters not. There are no teams from Group A that are towards the bottom side of the top 12. You've got really top-heavy teams from Group A who are unreachable at this point of time. So Groups B and C, the unfortunate thing for them is they have to fight amongst themselves. That means every single game, these final 2 matches, the leaderboard will change. And I want to see these teams go into that final circle and make some magic happen. We are on standby already for this flight path. Pretty curious as to how it's going to be lined up here, Neptune. Are we going to get yet another skewed flight path for some extra layer of chaos? I'm waiting to see.
I sure hope so. I mean, that's what we live for in terms of early engagement, and we want to see those who perform quite well in this game, who perform really early in terms of RNG of the early drops. But again, we've been given so much already. I think Nextera can be a fair fight, just to be sure that those in the bottom 6 are moving up. And it seems like it is a fair fight coming from Deca Square, going into Intellect Center. The only question is, will anyone take Zipway for the high tier loot area?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And well, we saw teams avoiding the high tier loot zone like the plague in the previous match. Hopefully Abandonados will make the blue circle play possible once again.
Yeah.
And nobody for the time being is going in here for the challenge, and therefore Abandonados might just be gearing themselves up for X World. Are you thinking what I'm thinking, X World? The crew says maybe.
Maybe. Mortar Ruins will be their trajectory, and it seems like its museum right now would be the high engagement area, as well as Grab Labs, because on museum we have CLG and RNKTZ, and Grab Labs we have Team Phantom and Rosario Central. And just mentioning the teams, it seems like we have a potential of who's winning out the fight, but for Rosario Central, they lost Escolta, so that's a huge punch to the knees of Rosario Central right now.
Yeah, you take them knees out, Phantom. Phantom desperately needs these points. Rosario Central does not. So if Phantom manages to cap Rosario Central early on, I will actually be very excited for the squad. And at this point of time, Phantom is currently on the 17th spot with 31 points. They're not too far away from Tonio in the 12th spot, but of course they do need to get into the final circle. Palmer. No glue walls, no problem.
That's good enough. That's good enough not to be shot at from out in the open. But going in the side, RKTZ going against CLG, and Bitsy will be taken now by Dracosita. Now, good recovery can be done, but Rio YT will be taken out, but Dracosita is already back in play. RKTZ Tranghia in trouble and also broke, so he needs to move away and get to a vending machine, but before doing so, he needs all those coins.
Oh man, I hate it when that happens, bro. You try to jump out of the window, but you just crouch on the sill. Happened to me one too many times, and then someone shoots me from the back. Damn it, irritating when you try to run away. But Abandonado, so cannot abandon this engagement as they get into a heavy fight up against Tonio. Tonio desperately looking for points. Abandonado's question is, will they give way? Will they give their lives up? And it looks like Tonio is going to force them to do so. 3 eliminations in the hands of Tonio. They definitely need it. Tonio is currently in the 12th spot, and they're definitely at risk of being relegated from the list of 12 teams here. And this is the kind of hustle we want to see.
Exactly. I mean, with this, they're halfway through on tying up with Team Fighters and one more to be able to take that next spot. So, Tonyo in a good spot at this point on style. On the other hand, is still at bottom 6 of our leaderboard, but they are on the chase against Tranghia, and Tranghia will be at a loss, going solo, going dark, and still, as I mentioned earlier, broke. So I think a long flank is needed for him. Otherwise, he will be taken out quite quickly.
Shout out to Lucky on the chat, who's revealing my real name. And yes, my real name is actually Anthony Jermaine. Just shortened it to AJ because people in Malaysia keep butchering my name. But in recent times, man, they've been butchering up AJ as well. I'm saying AJ and they're calling me Ajay. They're calling me everything except my name. So I think I'm going to go back to Anthony very soon.
How about AG? AG?
I don't know, man. Mustachio sounds. I don't know. Well, people may. I think people may mess up Mustachio as well, but I can't put that on my legal documents, so it's a problem.
Change name. Change name is not easy in real life.
Yeah.
But let's see though. On style flash right now. Similar situation as Tranghia. But Tranghia will be the next target of Charlie. As where will he go? Can he get away? That is a huge question because CLG is on a hunt right now. And Charlie going solo with Oscar can rush up, but not so fast. And Tranghia will need or might be able to get away because all of this distraction coming from the rest of the teams is now in play.
Ah, come on, Gomez Rio. Can't miss those shots, my friend. Most took the hit. Fabian steals it away from CLG. Beautiful stuff from Phantom. They definitely need the points more than CLG.
Definitely, and they're working hard to get them. Now, the next target would be CLG for Team Phantom, but I don't think you will need to get close to this team because they have the assault bunker. They're all geared up, and that will be a tough battle to beat at this point. Laligaru, on the other hand, taking down Sucks, and that definitely sucks at this point for X World, but a quick recovery, quick revival by the Cruz right here in the Free Fire multiverse.
Yeah, it doesn't suck so much when your team members have got coins to bring you back in, man. Unfortunate. Unfortunate that revival cards no longer in the pocket market, but vending machines are everywhere. So man gets bought back in instantaneously. John Chui joins us once again. Thank you for joining us, Don Chui. No idea where these boys went earlier on, but let's see exactly what kind of miracle they can pull off here with 2 opportunities already on the revival spree very early on. So that's not too good for the squad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they haven't warmed up, and a lot of teams has done that in the first 2 maps, especially for those in Group C. So let's see if they are hyped right now to go in for a fight, but for Abandonados, Laligaru making work of this AC-80 RGS through that glue wall, but the Cruz managed to pull away. He does have the plasma gun on for the Cruz, but X World right now will be taken down one at a time, and there's a very little chance for them to find their way, so they need to get to the center of the next phase of circle for them to survive a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And now, RNKTZ, they didn't really need a lot of points. Yesterday, they've already wrapped up 3 booyahs for themselves. And today, they're just chilling around. Getting eliminated early from this match means nothing to them. But of course, some of the other teams who are in the bottom 6, it will mean the world to them if they can pick up a booyah for themselves. We are looking at teams like MTG, On Style. But of course, as I talk about On Style, we did notice earlier that they only have 1 final player left. So, man needs to go on a revival spree here, Pana.
Yeah, I mean, they're always going on style, and that flash, that flare doesn't work out that much. Speaking of flash, they do have flash players, so they are on style in name as well as their teammate, but so much of talk, but not so much of effort being put in, or just bad luck for on style at this point. TF Esports right now against TFTR, and let's see who's going in. Oh, both of them has that launch pad, but went in a different direction.
Oh, damn, man. On Style was so close, yet so far to the top 12, and now they have to try again in the next game, and that's going to be their final opportunity. But Phantom, Fabian, very lucky that Cheeky was under pressure, but Hugo still manages to take him down with the M82B. So TF Esports, at the end of the day, still torturing Team Phantom. Fabian out of the equation already. Phantom definitely still hanging on. The rest of the squad not really exposed to TF Esports at the moment. And TF needs to be careful because Team Fighters are towards their right-hand side as well. If they get distracted by hunting down the Phantom players, they might just become victims themselves.
Yeah, let's see though, because looking at how TF Esports is running, they want to get away from Team Fighters. They don't have any information on where their location is, as well as how many is going against them. So I love the flank, I love the ridge usage by TF Esports, as well as the compound right now, but they need to move fast. So they're very close to the next phase of the circle, but the path that they are running to doesn't have that much cover, despite of how occupied compounds is in Nextera. But for Mendoza Cruz, he goes down in there from UMP. Non Chui right now will also lose out 13.
Mendoza he just thought he had a chance, but he gets sprayed down. And here comes 2 for 2, 2-9, Mag 7 to the chest. 2 players out of the equation and 2 extra for Team Fighters. And this is exactly what we're talking about. TF Esports cannot afford to get distracted by Team Phantom because Team Fighters are desperate for some points. And they are coming in hot because Team Fighters are not too far away from the bottom 6. They're currently sitting in the 11th spot with 52 points. A couple of mistakes, and the next thing you know, Team Fighters are relegated in the bottom 6. So that's not something that they want for themselves. And they are going to make something work here off of TF Esports, who are ahead of them on the overall leaderboard. Chiki and Uriel. Chiki, beautiful M82B stuff. As he gets the knock. Where did that grenade fly off to? Timbuktu.
There's not even Steffi in hand, so to invalidate that. But let's see now, Banshu trying to banish their opponent, but connected with that Cassie will make it tough. And TF Esports doesn't mean tough. They will be taken out at this point on 9. Team Fighters, though, still fighting in, and it's a good thing that they managed to do so because, as you did mention, Team Fighters is very close to being taken down, but those taken down would be MTG, Motion Gang, in not a good motion, not in a fluid motion in this game, but it's a good thing that a pickup has been done. Asta goes in for elimination, 8 to their name already, and they just want to secure this, but Lali Garu, the sneaky guy from Abandonados, not abandoning his post.
Abandoning his post.
That's a new word.
That's a new word for sure, man. Hey, here's the thing, right? MTG, beautiful stuff. We were talking about the recovery play that we were looking for them, and they are giving us exactly that. Laligaru, the final survivor from the side of Abandonados here, and he cannot afford to take this engagement up against Motion Gang because they'll snuff him out instantaneously. Problem is, the circle is hurting. The blue zone is hurting Laligaru. And he's going to break his foot when he tries to land later on. Because this is not Kalahari. Man has got no hook gun. He better have like a jump pad on him or something. But I don't know if we've got enough coins. There you go. Foot about to be broken. 200 HP. Okay. And he's got a vending machine right down below. Hits the revive. Big brain play by Abandonados, the one and only Laligaru.
He has been waiting that for the longest time. But before doing so, he wants to take advantage of Motion Gang. Asta right now almost taken down, but the glue wall saves him. And that is information revealed for Laligaru. Now, let's see if he will be happy at this point or like jolly at this point, similar to how his name sounds like. But Laligaru will be running in there hot, but have a good chance to get a few more of those loose. But the damage of the blue is hurting so much.
Last second survival here. SVDY in hand. That's exactly what Laligaru needs. 200 coins. What can he get? No medkit. This is danger zone now for Laligaru. There's another airdrop there that he can probably try to sneak away a medkit from. But let's see if or not Laligaru will continue surviving. For the time being, it is just a lot of pressure from the blue zone. CLG, on the other hand, aiming for the heads of Rosario Central.
Yeah, I'm the one sweating. I'm the one sweating for the situation of Laligaru at this point. It's a good thing if a revival has been put in for Brian, but for CLG right now, 9 elimination, and Brian might be in trouble in the face of a Team Phantom, and Team Phantom will be the ghost that would be moving in, and he will be eliminated. Abandonados, abandonading this game at this point. And Team Phantoms, though, surviving quite well, and they really want to get to the top 12.
I want to see in the grand finals Abandonados throwing grenades and then leaving the compound, abandonating their opponent. If they get the elimination, I'll die, bro.
You know how it is, like you kids like ringing that doorbell and then running out.
I want to see that in the grand finals next week. But of course, Abandonados unfortunately will get snuffed out in this game. We've got another match coming up, so obviously they stand a good chance of picking up something solid there, but it's not really needed. They are in the top 12, very secure in their spot. I highly doubt anyone's going to be able to replace them in the top 12 at this point of time. Probably manage to push them down the leaderboard just a little bit, but it's not going to really relegate them from getting the qualifier into the grand finals. Phantom, the team that we were highlighting that desperately needs some points, is still surviving in here as the top 6 teams.
And for Don Chui, unfortunately, they are trying their best to go and take those points for the last 2 games. They will be eliminated at 7-6. Teams remain on the 5th phase of the circle, and this will be chaotic at this point, despite of how many compounds is available in this map of Nextera. Like, everyone will be squished together, and it's not like there's several in different places. They're just one huge compound that they need to work with, but Rosario Central will not be making it. And Roberto, though, with that God Nade against Tonyo, and another one, Roberto making it work.
Yeah, but Freestyle says you can take them out all you want, but I'll revive them all the time. I got enough money in here, baby. Antonio sitting down in the 12th spot, desperately hanging on for their dear lives, making sure they don't get relegated by any teams, especially MTG, who out of nowhere is bringing out this phenomenal performance alongside Phantom as well. Ooh. These are the teams that need these points, and they are delivering out their Neptune.
See how much more they can deliver at this point. The Motion Gang, 12 elimination, the full squad, no revive for this team. They're playing it well. They're playing it to the T. The only thing that's needed to complete this formula is a booyah, but they need to deal with CLG first. Meltzer's being thrown into that fray, but CLG has already gotten away. Now let's see if they'll be able to go for the chase.
Motion Gang is back in business, baby. And Team Fighters, they are in a lot of trouble. Tonyo shut down by CLG. CLG, not too bad in terms of their top 12 spot right now. But Team Fighters have to be really careful because both Phantom and MTG may be looking to replace them in the top 12. But with Team Fighters getting into the final circle here, at least they are managing to sneak away a couple. Yeah, you melee that glue wall, bro. You melee it.
He thought it doesn't fit. That sees his teammates run through it.
There's space here.
Okay, we're good. We're good. Too much pressure in this game. Oh, talks right now. SKS can take down one player from Motion Gang with a headshot, but misses all those. Meliodas on the other side makes it work, and Phantom getting all the points, but will they be able to survive? Now, Team Phantom right now, they, well, if in case the rest of the teams will be taken out, there's a huge chance that Togs will be able to survive. 3 medkits in hand, I think that is questionable because another one would be jumping in on him, and Togs will be the first down.
I can't believe he actually brought NK with the Jiu-Jitsu into play. I've never seen that active skill used like in 3 years. Govetrio straight down. Phantom still striking hard. CLG, they are one of the better teams in this final lobby. In fact, they're the best team in terms of performance within this lobby. 14 eliminations in hand, standing testament to that. But can Phantom as well as Motion Gang outplay them by ripping away these points? Phantom, just 2 players left in here. But position-wise, they are not in a bad spot at all.
Yeah, I mean, out in the corner, and a very good chance that they can step into the middle just in case that blue closes in. But CLG is just guarding that spot, and Team Phantom would be the first team that they meet. For MTG, though, they're playing it safe, using this monster truck as cover, making it explode so that it doesn't explode in their face later on. And Motion Gang, I'm loving it. TFTR, Team Fighters, will not be fighting for long, but at least getting its 4th spot is good enough.
Absolutely, and Motion Gang, 14 eliminations, man. When was the last time we saw them perform this well? It's been a while. Obviously, they desperately need this. Blue wall melters up against CLG players. What a play by Asta! Saying hasta la vista to right instantaneously. And going in for the glue wall block off, so no pickup for you, Jose. As they hop on in a 3v2. And unfortunately for them, they're going to miss out on both the plays as a phenomenal glue wall setup defensively he's played. But Charlie trying to get away. Up against 3 players on the side of MTG. The spray down is there. 16 elimination strong. Motion Gang going for the booyah. 2 more players to sort out, and they do it phenomenally well. Motion Gang back in action with the booyah.
I'm loving how it's working out. We call out a team and they perform. Earlier it was 5 stars. Now it's Motion Gang on their way to that top 12. And we'll have to see how much points they have accumulated in this game. But I love the final two teams as well. It's Motion Gang and Team Phantom, the two teams that could make it work, and they're trying their best to do so. So let's see if they can do it in the final match, because this is getting exciting, AJ.
Yeah, holy mama. Motion Gang was in the 15th spot. Phantom in the 17th spot. Both of these teams, they were going to get eliminated before we headed on into the grand finals. They had two more opportunities, and this is exactly what I mean when I say they've got some fire under those butts, because they cannot stand the heat. And when I say they cannot stand the heat, I don't mean they're giving up. They are running up to the top to avoid this fire, and I love that, right? Desperation moments, and it's not like they were just playing purely survival. They were going in there for the eliminations as well, and this is what we are missing from Motion Gang. Remember, in the group stages, Motion Gang actually did fairly well, and we were expecting that performance from them, which we just did not see up until today, up until this match. I want to see another one, though, from Motion Gang. I mean, not only me, I think all of the fans of Motion Gang will be looking for that as well, because if they do not perform in this next match, they will most definitely be at risk once again of being relegated.
Exactly. I mean, hopefully the points is enough for them to keep them afloat, and even the performance of those on the bottom six will not push them down, because for sure, 14 elimination already at this point, and there's still a few players remaining, plus the Booyah. That is a lot coming from Motion Gang, pulling them away from the bottom six. But Team Phantom, how they perform well in survivability, this is what we've asked for. If you're not doing well in terms of elimination, especially in the early parts of Knockout Stage, go for the basics. Go for survivability, the name of the game of Free Fire and Battle Royale, and this is what they're doing. But for our MVP, it's none of those two teams. It's coming from CLG. It's Dracusita right now with 7 elimination, 3 assists, 46-33 on the damage, and 9 headshots. Now, I'm seeing Cassie as an active skill. I'm pretty sure A124 is not on there, but Joseph and Nairi viable enough to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're just going to focus on the main active skill. This electrotherapy out of Cassie with a recent buff. Dude, electrotherapy did not need a buff, okay? Yeah. But he got a buff anyway. All right. So now you've got longer range. You've even got the prevention of a misclick. If the partner that you're buffing up, okay, has got full HP, you click, nothing is going to happen, unlike what was in the previous time. So Dracusita getting the MVP, very well played. CLG overall, they didn't need the points, but they were, of course, hustling out there. You know, massive numbers of eliminations as they got into that final circle. 7-7 elimination, though. Asta stepped it up. Motion Gang back in action, and Asta kind of going toe-to-toe with Dracusita. So much more efficient with the eliminations. Didn't have to play those revives, and they got it through with the 7 elims just to match up with Dracusita with 3,331 in total damage. CLG, though, in third. MTG in first. Unbelievably getting 18 eliminations now.
And what I love is MTG, the first time we saw them in the final circle, there was no revive for the team. Even towards the end, no revive. So they can do it without losing any players and still putting in a lot of damage, a lot of elimination at this point. And thus, the overall stats, they are our most elimination teams and 75 on elimination. So a little bit of increase in terms of that number, as well as the damage and even the knocks, because of a lot of engagement happening earlier on, even midway and towards the final.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And this is what we want to see. Total damage from this lobby, 50,000. But what's more important is 75 eliminations. There were bodies dropping everywhere. More important than that, there were revives coming through time and again so that the teams could survive long enough. Total headshots, 78. Holy mama, what are these boys on in this game, man? Total throwables used 21, and one of them just went wide. I've never seen a grenade fly that wide before in the air. But Motion Gang hitting the wild 30 points. Holy mama. This now should pump Motion Gang up into the top 12 very comfortably. Phantom from nowhere into now playing position for the top 12. I would love to see the overall leaderboard in a little bit, because these are the main teams we are highlighting. Tonio getting 17 points. What a miracle that is as well, because that will definitely push them into the top 12. This is what we're talking about. Final 2 games, and the opportunities are not being missed by these teams. That's why you got to love North America and the hustle in them.
Exactly, and as we look at
Wow.
this, looking at where they are already on the left side of the board, and I mean, earlier they only need, if not 17, 18, around that, to be able to get to the top 12, but they wanted even more. Just to make sure that if they fail, hopefully not, knock on wood, for Motion Gang, they will be making it to the grand finals, and we want to see more of them. For Team Fandoms, they're very, very close. Only X-World that would be above them, and because of X-World being taken out early, there's also a potential that it will happen once again. So there's a huge chance that Team Fandom can do so, but they need to deal with Tonyo as well.
I mean, no doubt at all. I mean, obviously, Tonyo is looking to hold on to that 12th spot. But if they get to that final circle again, there's no reason why both of them, Tonyo as well as Phantom, won't be able to enjoy the top 12 spots, right? But we've got X-World in this play as well. X-World in Group C, they stand a decent chance to make their way into the top 12. But this is the worrying thing, because if we had more teams from Group A that performed fairly badly, then the teams in Group B and C can replace them in the final two games because Group A is not playing. But unfortunately, a majority of these Group A teams are top heavy. They're sitting down at the top of the leaderboard, untouchable, unreachable at this point of time, unless something massive happens, like Tonyo, and squad gets enough points to replace even Abandonados, but Abandonados are playing, to replace 5 stars maybe, but 5 stars were giving us the 5 stars performance. In fact, they hit 2 boo yesterday to make sure nobody takes this top 12 spot away from them. So everybody's hustling out there. And this is why you need to start hustling early instead of waiting for the final few matches now.
Yeah, I mean, unless you really want that stress towards the end. Some of the teams really want that stress motivation, but it's not good motivation. If you can do it a little bit early, then there's no stressing in on getting in the top 12. Similar to what we've seen T-Rex, 5-star is somewhat in that spectrum, but for the other team like CDG, they put up so much of effort so that there's no worry of them being taken out. And this is the leaderboard. This is where the leaderboard defies physics, because it's top heavy, but it's not toppled over. So this is where we want to see it. It just sinks.
It's top heavy, but the players who are around the base have got decent enough points. So it's at equal base, right? It's not like an upside down triangle. So yeah, totally agree. It's not going to topple over just yet. But unfortunately, because the base is so thick, we gotta make sure these teams hustle well and don't falter. It's Kalahari time, baby. As we head on into the final game, the snipers are going to be on the prowl once again.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if the snipers can make it work right now. There's a lot more of a chance for survivability, similar to what we've seen Laligaru did earlier. This is where you can survive a little bit longer with a hook gun. And let's see if this is where they make it work. Hopefully Abandonados will not be in that situation anymore. But again, Kalahari, this is where more excitement has been brought in because of the change of pace, the change of scenery, as well as the change of gameplay. But there's not so much of change in terms of the flight path on how fair it is. But this time around, it's coming from the maze, heading into Santa Catarina, and we know for a fact that there will be a hot engagement, especially for those chasing for the points.
Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I want to see who can actually have the capability to reach Council Hall. FDG heading towards Bayfront. Abandonados as well, the usual high-tier loot zone hitters, are moving straight in here for the zipline at Bayfront. They should be able to reach fairly close to it. But if MTG gets a hold of a couple of players early on the side of Abandonados, this might just be a little bit of trouble. There is a possibility that Abandonados actually gets pushed down towards the bottom side of this top 12. And I don't know, an early elimination could put Abandonados in a lot of trouble here, Neptune. I actually didn't think of that possibility.
Yeah, I mean, there is because of how close it is, especially in the bottom. But with the lead that they have against Motion Gang, that would be the huge threat, the bigger threat compared to the others. But yeah, there is a possibility. 24 points in between Tonyo and Abandonados. And if Abandonados being taken out early, that might happen. But for X World right now, they need to make it work. They are the bottom of the they were the bottom of the previous map, and there's a lot more that they need to be able to get against Tonyo and to secure their spot just in case those teams move up.
X World, 55 points in hand. They have to hustle extra 8 points behind Tonyo. And with the way this is going on, RNKT is looking to absolutely snuff their hopes. And now RNKTC needs no points here, but they're making it their personal mission to make X World cry.
See, the crews from the Free Fire multiverse will need to work with that revived platform. Lucky knows what I'm talking about. RKTZ, 3 of them moving in the same direction, but I guess them moving away would be a good for them, but for Team
GG.
Fighters, it would be GG. But would it be WP at this point? Because they're very close though. 11th spot, and Tonyo would still have a chance to fight in.
Yeah, I mean, if X World literally gets eliminated right now, they're going to cry because they are so close to getting the top 12 spots. With Team Fighters out of the equation, all X World needs to do is get into the final circle, and they should qualify into the grand finals to play for money. Team Fighters, on the other hand, will be relegated because of how close they are towards the bottom. No points through eliminations, no points through placements. But Abandonados up against Rosario Central. What can this up-and-coming squad do this time around? Head straight into that fight, and with the M590, gets a one-up on them. Nino down on the ground. Abandonados, this is something that we were highlighting as well. If they get eliminated early, this could be very risky for the squad. Jax could not get himself out of there. The spray down from Rosario Central, so deadly.
Oh, definitely deadly indeed, because they lost out a lot of points, a lot of the chances earlier, and they want to fight back. There's no reason to, but they just want to play Free Fire to perfection, especially if, well, Escolta is not in the mix right now, so it's good. They're a little bit nerfed at this point, but they want to cherish this moment as well as, like, play, find out their play style, if in case Escolta is not in the team.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we'll have to say goodbye to X World as well. They just got X'd out of the competition. They don't manage to pick up enough points to qualify to the top 12, and the squad has been eliminated. So the crews from the multiverse, Dark Cruz, doesn't get to show us what he's capable of in the finals.
Yeah, let's see though. I mean, TF Esports though, 0 elimination, and a team that needs to worry as well about survivability. So they need to hustle, despite of how safe they are right now. It might not happen later on, but again, it would be silent in a bit because of the compounds being taken, and a lot of those early engagements already done for. But we'll have to see once the next phase of circle shrinks or shows up. Because from the first to the second, you know how rapid and how far some of the teams are for the next phase.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's check it out. TF Esports here. I believe we were having some cheers in the comment section from Ty Lee, wanting TF Esports to make some sort of magic happen out there. And so Ty Lee, you better give them a bit of extra energy here, because TF Esports is dangerously close to being relegated. X World has failed that opportunity to replace them in the top 12, but Phantom is still alive and kicking. On Style may have an opportunity as well, but they will literally have to do something crazy to squeeze themselves into the top 12. Phantom holding on with just toe in hand. Just a single elimination, and the last thing he needs is to deal with Tonyo. But if he does manage to take out Eljiput out of the equation here, that's just 1 point straight to the grave, because the rest of the squad will come hunting for him.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Having one player with toe in hand, that would be difficult to walk with. Rosario Central making it difficult for Brian. I've been waiting for that moment. I've been waiting for that moment to pull out that joke. But Brian will not be joking around. Rosario Central wants to take this game, and they did. 5 elimination overall, and they just roaming around from their drop spot to Santa Catarina. They've just been all over the board, all over the map indeed.
With toe in hand. Stupid.
I heard it and it says, ding!
Unless you get your toe chopped off by some weird action out there on the battlefield, man. I don't know, get a trogon to the foot or something. Rosario Central, though, looking for Abandonados, trying to force them to abandon their play for the grand finals. But unfortunately, even if Rosario Central does take them down, there's not enough teams from the bottom 6 to replace Abandonados and their performance thus far. Abandonados hasn't picked up a single booyah here at the knockout stage, though. So I hope to see some from them at the grand finals at least.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's potential. There's huge potential, especially with Laligaru. But that risky gameplay, it's 50-50. It's a double-edged sword. So hopefully that's something that they can use their best advantage, but not in a so much risky of a way. But this is what I'm talking about. The next phase of the circle will be very far for some of the teams, and I'm talking about Abandonados and Rosario Central, who is in a fight right now. Nino might be in trouble, but that gives an opening for Laligaru and the rest of the teams to move in for the flank for the next phase of the circle. So good play for Abandonados. They might have lost out on the one, but they can still survive.
Yeah, Rosario Central's back out here to wreck anyone. Nino's just next on the list, but Abandonados still in this competition because of those multiple revivals that they have played thus far. Brian got eliminated earlier, back in play. Nino has to be bought back. And I believe they have got enough coins, but they are just not close enough to the vending machine. And as Laligaru tries to get to the vending machine, he gets scanned out by that R1 Dinoculus, exposing Laligaru's rough location and going straight into action here to shut him down. Laligaru, does he have the sniper to play a counter up against Into? 1 shot, 2 shot, 5 glue walls for Into. Laligaru pulls out a good glue wall, hides away, fires right back. Opportunity here, but the numbers game up against him. Look at the rest of Rosario Central. Just flood around him, flanking from the right-hand side. And Palmer will be able to find the final nail in Laligaru's chest. Abandonados still hanging on for their dear lives.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 2 players remaining, Brian and Rax, after the sacrifice by Nino to make the rest of the team to escape that battle. But Laligaru was unfortunate to be spotted by the binoculars. Before we proceed, though, I'm pretty sure Rosario Central can do much work if they get in the next phase of the circle. But big shout out to Wolf Strike Gaming joining us in the chat right now. He's asking for a shout out, and there you go.
Let's see if or not RNKTZ will be able to show us something of the shades of a booyah this time around. Yesterday, they were super souped up, hitting 3 booyahs out of 4 games played, which was pretty ridiculous if you ask me.
Yeah.
Today, they haven't showed up at all. Most probably because they are like chilling at the top. They know nobody else can reach up to their performance, no matter how hard they try. It's very, very difficult to outdo 3 booyahs out of 8 games played. Beautiful rotation, though, coming through from RNKTZ. Hugo just can't find those perfect connections. With the SVD, Tranghia, though, does exactly that with the AWM. Instant pickup, and the treatment sniper doing its work.
Yeah, let's see now if Tranghia can do it again. AWM, why at this point asking that question? Why are you there fighting against us? DF Esports, well, no answers just yet. All they have to do is wait for next phase of the circle, which is very, very far away from the rest of the teams, but not for Laligaru, as he works his way to revive his teammate, or probably wait for Rax as well as was it Nino to be eliminated, so that it would be much worth it.
Let's see. Tonio up against OnStyle. OnStyle desperately trying to make their way into the top 12. Tonio's on the 12th spot. So if OnStyle snuffs them out right now, it's going to be a big play. And Flash with a putbacker from the back. Lopez down on the ground. Can they get another one? Tonio from Tonio gets sprayed down to the ground instead. Doesn't work out well for them. Losing 2 players up against OnStyle. Elliot put down on the ground. Tonio with your final opportunity. But 1,700 coins in the hands of Freestyle should be able to revive the full squad. Question is, can he get to the vending machine?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Freestyle losing the beat to go in for that wrap. And let's see if he can wrap around to be able to revive the teammates. Don Chui right now, 4 eliminations in hand and still a long way of travel. This is what happens when you lose out on those games and miss out on those fights. But for Rosario Central, they're jumping into the next platform and going in for the fight against TF Esports. TF Esports 3-man down already. That brings RC Rosario Central with 11, eliminating the team on 10.
Do you hear that sound, Neptune?
Mm-hmm.
That's Ty Lee crying because TF Esports just got eliminated. The boys didn't manage to camp good enough. Rosario Central, though, up on the platform. And Don Chui, of all teams, making them pay. OnStyle eliminated. And that basically means OnStyle will not be at the grand finals for FFUSC. Unfortunate for them, but the party continues. Let's see if or not Don Chui can make some miracle work here for themselves. Phantom heading on in. They're currently in the bottom 6, but they're now right behind Rosario Central outside the circle, taking damage from the blue zone. This is not good as Kane sprays one down from the side of Phantom. Toe on toe to get revived once again. Felion as well as Meliodas desperately trying to hold on.
And desperation indeed is happening because the blue will be closing in a bit. And a lot of teams are outside. And one tough battle is Foundation. It's only half of the compound, half of the area that has been covered by next phase of the circle that would squeeze them into these mazes, into this structure. And we are seeing knockdowns happening already. Rosario Central, though, still alive and kicking. Goes in for backstab against Brian. And he might be crying at this point because Abandonados are losing out on a lot of fights.
Rosario Central is cranking it up again. They want to show everyone that they can pull away a booyah. Rosario Central, surprisingly, does not have a single booyah in the knockout stage thus far, and they are trying to change that. 17 elimination strong. But look at this, man. Motion Gang still going at it, pulling away those eliminations. And that plasma gun, come on.
It's a meta that's barely used. We've seen King use it so many times, and that's when they have a lot of elimination. That's when they're very close in getting the spot. So let's see though if this is where Motion Gang can secure their spot as well, especially with the performance that they had earlier. But for Tonyo, this is so much trouble. For Lopez being spotted by 1 as he jumps in, but Don Chui eliminated at 8. They lose out on that opportunity, well, similar to how they missed out on those games.
Yeah, MTG, 2 players down. Rosario Central hitting the heart once again. Hasta, about to say hasta la vista. Man is nowhere to be found here. Rosario Central on for the hunt. One more final player to take out, and he goes down. Bye-bye, Motion Gang, says Rosario Central. But enough has been done by MTG to stay in the top 12. Abandonados eliminated as well. They are in the top 12. We will see them at the grand finals. Question is, if or not TF Esports is still going to be there? Answer is yes, Tylee. Don't worry. They're still in the top 12.
They're still in there unless they... it might be very, very close. But let's see, though, for Rosario Central. And this is the threat for those trying to chase that top squad. I mean, the top 12. If Rosario Central, one that's already in the top 5 or top 3 of a team, is doing quite well, it means they're feeding off on those eliminations. It's making it tough for the others to catch up on the point. So this is one thing that's turning things around, but they are going against RNKTZ, a team that is securing this, secured their spot already on the grand finals. But it is Tonyo who goes down first.
Yeah, absolutely. All now 3 big teams for the final match of the day. RNKTZ looking for their 4th booyah from the knockout stage. And Rosario Central snuffed on out. RNKTZ says this is not for you, but they may still get the number 1 spot because of their massive numbers of eliminations. RNKTZ up against CLG. 10 versus 8 on the eliminations. One has got the high ground, but not really the circle on the side of RNKTZ. They'll have to make a lot of movements here, and they don't have a lot of cover. Glue walls are really low on the side of Trunk here. One gets sprayed down and make that a double as Gomez Rio hits it with that sniper. CLG with the final booyah of the day.
Yes, CLG not letting it go without a booyah. I mean, they were top 5 with 0 on the board, but they want a secure one, even against Rosario Central. I'm pretty sure Rosario Central was chasing for the same thing, but it really doesn't matter that much. They are in the top 12. They make it to the grand finals. The story goes for those at the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And Rosario Central had a damn good game this time round. They didn't need to show us this level of performance, but they most definitely wanted to end on a high note before heading on into the grand final. So it was a great game from them overall. The heated battle down at the bottom of the leaderboard, though, I think it was unfortunate that some of the teams heated up towards the very end. Fenton only showed up today. I wish to have seen a little bit more from them yesterday because they got a little bit too close. And to make things even easier for Fenton, Team Fighters actually got taken out so early in the game, and they will definitely get pushed down. Tonio went up, but did Fenton get enough? Because they did get to that circle close towards the end, but not enough eliminations on their side.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is a tough call to make right now. If that is enough for you, and that questions your decision overall. If you could have done a few more in the early parts, you might have make it if in case you're relegated. So hopefully the teams will put that in perspective. Not only the teams that are playing in this season, but also those who are potentially about to play in the next season. Think of what's happening right now, but the team and the player who's not thinking anymore, not worrying anymore, would be X-Kane from Rosario Central. 12 elimination just from this guy, and that has made everyone went into shivers. Shivers in spine right now because of how deadly Rosario Central showed up.
Yeah, man. I mean, this was a damn good game for him. And, I'm damn sure he didn't use the Zane, but Koda for the detection. And that just makes Kane so much more dangerous. I mean, you pop the Koda, your active skill just allows you to see some extra players out there. And with the M590, Kane was just running through them, blitz speed. Definitely did not run the chrono as well. Maybe with the active skill card, right? The chrono has got a little bit of a buff recently, so I'm very sure we're going to see more of him. Asta with the 7 eliminations in the head-to-head up against Drakusita. Same number of eliminations on both sides. A little bit more concise with the damage on the side of Asta, though.
All right, for the head-to-head right now, well, we have Kane with 12 elimination, as mentioned, and Gomez Rio. I love how the performance of CLG at this point is showing up. I mean, they didn't need that booyah because they already secured that, but they want to make sure that once they get into the grand finals, they can achieve that champion rush condition. And that's what's important. Even from the beginning of the broadcast, even from the knockout stage, group stages, we've been talking about how important that booyah is. And hopefully, Rosario Central can bring it onto next week, because even in the top 5, they're the only ones who haven't grabbed a booyah at this point.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's actually insane, right? Rosario Central, the only team without a booyah, but they were in the top 5, with like 20 plus eliminations, 22 eliminations on their side. Yeah, definitely, maybe second or third spot at this point in time. We'll have to take a look at the overall leaderboard in a little bit. 22 elims up against the 10 elims that CLG pulled. CLG is a damn good team. They just didn't bring out their best performance in here today. Once again, not everybody's like Rosario Central, wanting to flex on everyone at the final second, right? I think these guys should have just given leeway to teams like Phantom at the bottom to pick up some extra points. But at the end of the day, a game's a game, and they wanted to win. 66 eliminations in total. 22 of that belongs to Rosario Central. They capped this lobby.
A third of which, very much like how our prize pool is distributed. Like a third goes to the champion, a third goes to Rosario Central in terms of elimination. And let's head over for the match standing
Damn.
30 points for Rosario Central, pushing CLG on second place, despite of how much effort they put in. RKTZ, though, not far from that top spot, and even Abandonados, a double-digit 5-on-5, a total of 10. Motion Gang, though, despite of not getting into the final circle, they still make sure that they want to put themselves on the board on the top 12. But looking at the bottom, Team Fighters at a loss, but it could have risked their spot for the top 12.
Wait, Neptune, can you hear that? Can you hear that? It's Tylee. Tylee's praying
Tylee?
to the gods of Free Fire. Please let TF Esports make it. But the guy's only got 1 point. But he can rest easy. TF Esports makes it through to the grand finals in the 11th spot. Team Fighters as well. Phantom unfortunately falters. X-World, OnStyle, Rail G, Don Chui, Dark Hunters. These teams do not make it into the grand finals. Everybody else gets to play for some money next week.
Yeah, again, was what I mentioned earlier about the teams who doesn't make it for the grand finals. Valiant effort, but hopefully you think before any stages happen, before the first match happen, go all in. And then try to study your opponent as well as yourself on how you make things work in the battlefield. That is one thing that has been done so many times by the pros. And I do understand that this is just the first after 3 long years for USA. But there's a lot of promise because especially with the performance that we've seen, not only for the top dogs, not only for the top 12, but like how those at the bottom tried to move up, tried to perform, and some really showed up.
Well, for all of you guys who showed up and stayed on to the broadcast, we would like to thank you by delivering yet another giveaway. Please make sure you grab the screenshot and redeem it as quick as possible. 3, 2, 1, there you go. Hit it. Only available for the first 100 players.
Yeah, I mean, I could say it's during the broadcast, but the broadcast is towards the end. So make sure that you go and enter that fast on reward at ff.garena.com. And it's also in the pinned comment for those who are waiting and looking for it. And hopefully you get good stuff because a lot more will be happening. Not only the rewards, but also good stuff in terms of engagement because we are heading into grand finals with only a few days left.
Oh my goodness me. And these teams have slowly but surely captured both of our hearts. I'm very sure, Neptune. I mean, I think we've seen the best from quite a number of squads. Obviously, teams like T-Rex, Rosario Central, they've grabbed our hearts. But here's what's insane about Rosario Central. They played that game, 22 eliminations, no Escolta, all right? The mad sniper Escolta, we get to see him in performance at the grand finals going up against player JK. I want to see a head-to-head between these two snipers on the grand finals and see exactly who grabs the top spot. We should have like a best sniper title at one point here at FFUSC. T-Rex hitting the double booyah alongside Team 5 Stars for the final 2 games when it was truly needed. Motion Gang showed up. Next, Booyah, grabbing enough points to launch themselves into the top 12 and remain there as well.
And for CLG, they grabbed the first Booyah in the knockout stage as just to show up that they can do it and bring it onto the grand finals. But yet again, that was the end of 6 maps, end of awesome, exciting engagement, and unfortunate for those not making the grand finals. We want to see you onto the next season. But for me and AJ, we had to say goodbye, and wherever you are, good night. We will see you on the grand finals.